the person who's supposed to say the prayer to show up. It's Vin Chase. It's his turn. I'm not sure exactly. I have a few prayers I could offer. Dear God, let me go home before midnight. Aha. Okay, thank you. I call to order this meeting of the Stratford Town Council, June 12th, 2017 at 8:02 p.m. The meeting will start with the prayer and pledge of allegiance directed by Vincent Chase.
O Heavenly Father, grant us your guidance as we gather here this evening in carrying out our duties to our townspeople and helping to make our town a better place in which to live. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 2, there are no ceremonial presentations and awards that I'm aware of. Mr. Mayor? Okay. Item number,
Minutes, approve the minutes.
I'm sorry, I always skip that. I skipped number 1. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting and public forum of May 8th and special meeting of May 22nd? Is there a motion?
I make a motion
Okay.
to
Second.
approve the minutes from May 28th and special meeting of May 22nd.
Okay, and is there a second to that?
Ali Kadim, second.
Okay, Mr. Kadim has seconded. Motion made by Ms. Antezo. Discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes 10-0. Okay. Now we're skipping over ceremonial presentations and awards because there are none. Council members' response to comments from public forum. We will start with Mr. Farrington-Posner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for coming out. It's good to always see a packed house here for the town council meetings, and I thank you for coming up, all the speakers, and expressing to us how you feel on a different array of topics in town. A couple things I'd like to address. Ms. Friedman, she's still here? Hi. I completely get where you're coming from about Social Security and being on a fixed budget and not being able to afford, the taxes. Like I've said in numerous meetings, is when I walked my district, I talked to a lot of seniors. There's a lot of seniors in District 2. And the main concern I heard was taxes, and people telling me how they're finding it harder and harder to stay in their homes. Now, these are people that have lived in their homes, some of them 40, 50 years, and they've raised their children, they've worked their whole lives, they've invested all their money into their homes and here in Stratford, in Stratford's economy. Now we're telling them, well, your taxes are gonna keep going up, and even if your houses are paid off, your Social Security isn't gonna cover your taxes yearly. So what to do? Should you sell your home and lose your investment? A home that right now doesn't have the equity that it should have because the property values are lowered? I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is that we need to start being more conservative with our spending here in town and try and lower the mill rate and get more businesses to add to our tax revenue, and that's the way to go about it. And we need to keep the residents we have, not tell them, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore, it's time to move out if you can't afford it. So I'm fighting for you, I'm fighting for all the seniors in District 2, and I'm fighting for all the seniors townwide. I'm also fighting for the families like me that, live week to week with our paychecks. We don't make a lot of money, and we make enough to get by, but we have kids, and we need to be able to afford to live here, afford our taxes, and afford, the cost of living. And with such high taxes in town, it's getting harder and harder each year. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing up here, to try and to protect and support and fight for everybody that's like me, everybody that's like you. And there's a lot of us in this town. On Memorial Day, I released an amendment to the mayor's original budget. I released it through social media, and I also released it to the press. I found my amendment to be a compromise, the compromise that's much needed here in town. I've been hearing for a couple of years now how Town Hall, this building, and the employees within, that there's a lot of fat in this budget. So I took my time, hours and hours, going through line by line of the budget, looking at past budgets, looking into the munis, which tells us how much has been spent to date this year. And I was able to find where we can make cuts to the municipal side of the budget in order to keep our mill rate flat and also give an increase to the Board of Education. While there's a lot of support for my budget, and I've gotten numerous phone calls, emails, and also seeing social media posts, the support's not where it matters in order to pass it. I don't have the support of this council to pass my budget. I've already been told that over and over again. So tonight, I will not be putting forward my budget amendment because we could sit here for an hour and argue it, but it won't have the support. And I'm going to tell you all flat out why it won't have the support. There's too much protection going on here in Town Hall. There's too much political patronage and too many people playing, let's call it the friends and family plan. It's all about, protecting the status quo. We've heard that friends and family a year ago with former Councilman Mark Dumas had brought it up. It's still happening. It's going to happen unless we make some change. I want to be a proponent of that change. I want to see us stop the wasteful spending. I want to see the money that's going here wastefully go back into the pockets of the residents of this town. Therefore, once we put money back into the residents' pockets, they put money back into our economy. Because I'll tell you, I go out there and I see we have a lot of businesses right now that are hurting and struggling, especially a lot of our restaurants. I could go by on a Friday and Saturday and see them empty in Stratford Center. That's not good. And that's not good for potential businesses that want to come here into town. When they're scouting and they're looking, and when they see that we have empty businesses, they're right away going to say, well, obviously they don't have the demographic or they don't have the amount of support in order for us to open up a new business here in town. We need to change all this. So tonight, I'm going to be very transparent here and tell you what I'm going to do. There's another budget amendment that's going to be brought up tonight. Which is going to fund the Board of Ed more than what my budget amendment put out, which I think is great. It's also going to keep the mill rate flat at 38.99. I am going to make an amendment to that budget amendment to cut additional money from Town Hall, from those favor jobs, those favor raises, and I want to put that money forward to the Board of Ed, which would get the Board of Ed to where they need to be to cover the contractual obligations. And that's what I'm proposing here tonight. And I hope this council can see that right now we need to be able to put the money towards the contractual obligations to the Board of Ed, put the money towards the children, and not towards the political patronage here in Town Hall any longer. So that's what I'm going to propose tonight. I'm sorry that my amendment in full is not going to be proposed. It's not going to have the support. It probably could be discussed for an hour, and it's still unfortunately not going to have the votes. But I am going to try and do something to give more to the Board of Ed and to finally cut the wasteful spending and to keep the mill rate flat. So that's my promise to everyone tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kadim? Mr. Kadim, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. As always, firstly, thank everyone for coming out, taking time out of your day and your schedule. This is somewhat unorthodox in terms of the tax situation and the budget. The budget wasn't passed. Several meetings, it still has not been passed. Quite naturally, when you look at the breakdown, last year the budget was split in half. The thought process of the council was split in half. And the tie was broken by the mayor. Quite naturally, it's his budget. Of course he's going to break the tie. That's what he wanted. So he had it. So think about all the years that prior to me sitting here and all the other councilors we all knew, for 7 years, everything went pretty much the way, the overview and the breakdown of managing the money for our town for 7 years. And it really surprised me that for 1 year, it didn't go the way that the town, the town manager, which is the mayor, chose, his budget wasn't put forth. So when his budget was knocked down, another budget was introduced and was put forth, then it got vetoed. That's a surprise. You know what that's like? I do sports, I do basketball, I run camps. So say you go to basketball court, you have the ball, everybody's playing. So now nobody picked you on the team. So now you're going to leave with the ball so nobody can play. Now, I don't think that's a good thing to do. So when I look at the breakdown of how our town is ran, and I'm very fortunate and privileged to be able to be elected to this seat and look at these budgets and break them down and see that there's money there to save us taxes. Actually, can go even lower than the mill rate that was presented. And if you look at how the town is being ran, they're doing a good job, but they can do a better job. They can do a better job. In fact, they can do a great job. And the numbers are there to bring it down. There's no real justification for bringing it up, because if you look at all the business that came into the town, the business that are here, how much FedEx expanded with all that building back off of Wooden Road, those new hubs that they have there, as well as the hubs that are already behind where Dutchess is at. Way back, you have all this UPS, you have all of this FedEx. I mean, it's probably hundreds of bays back there that people don't even see off of Lordship, as well as all the new construction. You have all these condos coming up. In my opinion, I have my overview on that, is that the town itself is a town. We don't want to turn it into a city. It cannot take all of that. In fact, when you go through Main Street and you see how cluttered it get right down at the little station there with the train station, no one can get by between 3 and 5. You can forget about it. You got to go around to get where you're going. I know myself, I always go through Ferry Boulevard and come around just to get to Main Street because it's constantly packed. How much people can we take in this town? And the way that the taxes are being raised, where's the residual money? Where's the extra money? Then you have a great deal of new businesses. Popeye's just opened, had BJ's for years. Where's that tax money going? Where are all these new companies, these new businesses and companies that's coming into our town, where's that money going? Just like Paul Tavares came up and spoke about the fact that he's retired and he's on a fixed income. There's so many people that are on fixed income, Social Security as well, that cannot afford these hikes, but been here all their life. They have to leave because you have an idea that we should keep paying taxes over and over again. No person that gave their life and their blood and sweat to this town should be able to stay here. Tons of people are moving. I mean, I've been here for 20 plus years, and people I've met jumped out. They said, man, the tax is too crazy, I gotta go. I said, wow. That's sad, because those families I'm speaking about been here from the beginning, and they have ties in here, family members that are still here. That has to stop. The tax increase has to stop. It's not even justified. When you can find $2 million here and 600,000 there, and just pull money out of the air, Where was the money? Did you allocate it for something? Then you say, no, we're just going to leave it there till we really need it for what we want to do. So that's misappropriating funds. Like, what are we doing? And then to whose expense? The taxpayer. Why? I mean, really, I want to understand this. Now, you have a mayor. We have a mayor system. He gets a salary. Now, there was a town, what do you call it, town management, a town manager before we had a mayor. It wasn't that expensive. It wasn't that expensive with a mayor and aides, as well as when you look at the breakdown of even the Board of Ed. You have a superintendent, and you have 2 people under them, and then the other people under. You got all these people in the hands in the pot. I mean, we have to stop. Because if you look at the breakdown of how the budget is going with the Board of Ed, at some point, the town side is going to suffer. We're not going to have services because we're giving them all the money. And since you can't take nothing back and they keep increasing year after year, all of us are going to be moving out of this town because the Board of Ed is going to own it. But so much money can go around. They should think about capping what they're doing. They should say, okay, this is enough to run this program. That's all we need. Don't ask for no more. This has to be done. That's all we need. Don't ask for no more. Stop adding. Just because somebody tell you to make a budget, it's just paper and numbers. You can put whatever you want on there. You don't have to be factual. So it has to be somewhere where you checking yourself. Check yourself. You understand? You know that old saying, right? Right? You heard it. Heard all these rappers say that. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You feel me? You understand? So that's what I'm saying. It cannot continue this way. It cannot. This is a beautiful town. I come here from Brooklyn, New York. I love this place. I don't want to go back. I love Brooklyn too, but I love this place. This is a beautiful town. People are so warm and generous. I've never seen this before. But if you continue to go on the same path of having all these condos built, all these outside, how you say, interests, only here for money. That's all they come in here. They see that is right. Especially if the amendments are there, if the mayor or his staff or the economic development allow them to do the things they do, and they cross that thin line or that short line where they can go ahead and say, okay, well, zoning says this law, so we're going to do this way. No, you can't do that. You have to recognize and put things in place the way you go against that law and create your own. We have so many lawyers on staff. Let's work out something. Let's sit and talk. How can we protect our town? How do I drive up the street with single-family homes and then now there's 10 units there? How did that happen? How could you do that? Nobody bought a house to have 10 units or 20 units or 120 that's going to be on Main Street or 140. Nobody bought a house to sit next to that. So you got to stop this insanity. It's sick. I can't believe I see it. It's unreal. And, even when you say, okay, we need services. And people talk about, oh, Shelton, they missing services. But I don't hear nobody leaving Shelton. Oh, they don't have the services we have, but I don't see them leaving. In fact, I see people leaving here, moving to Shelton. So help me understand what they're doing that we can't do. Make me understand a clear picture. Because it's really, it really is a shame. It's a shame that we come into this day and age, 2017 is a shame that we have to say, oh, we're going to have to worry about our services because of the Board of Ed. So the police department can't have what they want. The fire department can't have what they want. EMS can't have what they want. We need the fire department. We need the police department. We need EMS. These are services that save lives and protect us. There was just a shooting the other day right here in my district on, Cedric? I mean, it was, the police department did their job efficiently and immediately. We caught these people in, less than an hour? Ridiculous. We need to give them what they need to operate. What's the problem? Nobody else sees that but me? Also, just want to say, it's been an honor serving you guys, and I pray I continue to do what's right, in spite of the understanding that my perspective on things are a little different from others. I don't believe in adding money to a problem. Work out a solution. Sit down and make the solution, and then if what money you need, you use. What you don't, you put back. Stop thinking throwing money is going to fix it. I have 3 sons went through the Board of Ed, and none of those experiences was right. The incompetent people you hired couldn't even do their job. What is that? Principals making all this money, you don't even know how to listen. You're gonna tell me what you're going to do with my child. Are you out your mind? Really? This character you got over there in, what is it, Worcester? Yeah, Worcester Middle School, this new guy. Now, Mr. Lynch was there. He listened to the parent. This new guy going to tell me what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm going to do this with, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. I will take my son out of the school before I let you do that. Arrogant, disrespectful, and disgusting. But you paying him all that money. Then my other son was in Johnson House. How'd you get left back in kindergarten? What the heck are y'all doing in there? Are you kidding me? What's the deal? You making more than me, but you can't get a kid through kindergarten? Oh, I didn't say nothing because he was quiet. What kind of stupid answer is that? That's stupid. Don't say nothing like that. You're supposed to be educated. Where's your mind at? Explain that to me. And then when it was closing lordship, I went out and fought to keep lordship open. I had to take my son out of lordship because you couldn't relate to an African-American person. What is that? If you cannot understand the people in that nation, how could you help them? So you have to cut that mess out about saying we're doing a good. You know you're not doing a good job. Not to my family, you're not. All these people coming up saying all these good things that's happening with the Board of Ed. Yes, they may be happening, but it should happen for everyone in town, not just a few people. Then I can support you, but I cannot support you when you drop the ball so many times. So you put administrators that are African American in position. You put Latinos in position administrators. And I said this for years. African American children need to see African American teachers. They need to see that they can strive to be a teacher. You know, I'm so thankful
Mr. Kadim?
that all the people come out. Don't do that. Don't you do that.
No,
Don't
but
you do
there are
that.
10 of us.
Don't you do that. I sit back and hear everybody talk for as long as they want to talk. I'm talking for the first time for a long time, and you got something to say? We was here at 2 o'clock in the morning one night, and you rushing me off? Do me a favor. Be nice. Be nice. I already seen you be mean several times. Why don't you try to be nice tonight? Just do that. Be warm. Be nice.
There are just 10 of us, and so now we're on the
Yeah,
second one.
that's fine. We're going to be here as long as I need to talk, if that's all right. So now, when you look at the budget, that reflects everyone who paid taxes. I've been paying taxes since I've been here. I never was a renter. I bought my house. You think I like it being raised all the time? And my neighbors do not like the taxes being raised all the time. You cannot justify it by boo-hoo crying and having children come up. We need it. We need it. That's a game you're playing. You're playing on the emotions of a human being who loves people. Don't do that. That's deceiving us. So in closing, I pray that we can get this budget done tonight so Missy can go home and not be here and get sick again and go to the hospital because we here all night stressing her out. Think of others. Don't filibuster bringing 1,000 people up to explain their budget. Nobody want to hear that. We see it already. Now you do what you need to do with your budget. We see the budget. We've been studying the budget. I don't need 1,000 filibusters coming up here tonight. But if you can do it, that's your prerogative. I'm going to sit here and enjoy the view. But the fact of the matter is wrong. Be considerate of those people who are not getting paid to sit in these seats. Everybody here, besides us, is getting a check. They on overtime. So they can stay as long as they want. Tons of cars pull up and park in front, burning gas to come here. They're getting paid either way, and we're paying. It has to stop. It's really simple. Do you want the mayor budget or you want the one that we propose? Which one you want? Really done. Yes, no. Okay, we don't need to hear no more from department heads. We got it. Thank you. We know what you have. We know what you need, and we made our choice. Is that okay? We can't make a choice, but you can. It has to stop. It has to stop. So we have to unite and make sure that we take care of each other. Take care of each other. Thank you so very much for allowing me to speak. God bless all of you, and stay focused on loving each other. Thank you.
Mr. Hardin?
What to do. I want to be mindful of the time, and again, you know, this is a very difficult task that we have in front of us. And during the break, I heard some of the concerns and some of the complaints, and some of the people that believe that we're not doing our due diligence and the role of council people or council person. This is a very difficult task, and I'm hoping that we do what's right and what's fair. We've heard a lot of the councilmen's and councilwomen's explanation for some of the things that they want to change in order to make this city, this town suitable to live. We're not the only town that have tax issues. We're not the only town that can't seem to get along and come up with a answer for all of its problems. But tonight, I'm hoping that we can embrace that and come up with a solution that will fit the need of this town and the residents, because that's what's important. You know, I know there are people who hold certain gripes towards certain departments. I know there are people who have certain gripes against people. When you volunteer to do something, my expectation is that we put those aside to do the job that we volunteered to do. And so I'm hoping that we'll be very mindful of the time tonight, and that we'll move quickly, swiftly, and thoughtful, and use good judgment in all the decisions that we make. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and showing their passion for a town of four seasons, and their commitment not only to their families, but the residents and the businesses that we have within this town. And I'd like to say thank you again to the community department heads for coming out and being supportive during this budget. And yes, we do know that there is some financial irresponsibilities on the part of the town and department heads. And as we know, our current mayor will be moving out, and we're hoping the new mayor that does come in will target some of those issues and concerns that we have. And tonight is not the major part of the night to kind of hash that out. I think we should be past that, and again, be able to pass this budget tonight at a reasonable time and without hurting people's feelings and being insensitive to the needs of others. Once again, thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Can?
Thank you, everyone, and especially all the individuals who reside in the 5th District. I see many of you here tonight, and just big kudos for supporting the entire town and especially our community and neighborhood. I was not elected to rubber stamp decisions that were made by others. We have a role here on the council to evaluate, to the best of our abilities, the items that are before us. I believe I was elected to identify these opportunities and to exercise a fiscal responsibility. Many of you have seen my critiques regarding the Board of Ed. I believe there's a lot of money on the table. Those empathies have been represented by people like Sue Collier, the ex-finance director for the town, who many people have said she knows where all the bodies are buried, and she's confirmed a lot of the ideas that we put on table. The Board of Ed does need an increase. There's contractual salary requirements that they have to achieve, but the Board of Ed has also gotten over $3,000 per student of an increase over the last 4 years. They will get more tonight. But that's like a 25% increase in the money that we're funding as a town for each individual student that attends our public schools. That's a substantial increase. And we want to make sure that those monies, as Ms. Rodia, and thank you for speaking tonight, said so clearly, make sure it goes into the classroom. We do have 2 budgets that will probably be presented tonight. I want to thank Scott for introducing his. It brought focus to a lot of the issues that have somewhat plagued our town, that we tend to do things that are easy and not things that are accountable, that are not productive for the health and betterment of our town and our community. Wally, for your passion, everyone on the council for serving, and thank you for being here to witness.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm going to be short and sweet, and let's get to work.
Ms. Antezo?
I also just want to thank people for coming out, and I'd like to get to work.
Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have a 28-page agenda, so I'm going to just thank everyone for coming out.
Thank you. Mr. Llewellyn?
I kind of follow suit a little bit here. I'll also thank everyone for coming out. I also want to say that I do think it's great, and it was a positive thing that we were able to see and hear from the students. When I look at a student, behind those 2 students, I see one or two parents that are probably in support of what that student was saying. I also think we shouldn't discount our students as productive members of our Stratford society. Some of those students could own businesses, they could have trade name certificates, be operating businesses from their homes, and/or be paying property taxes via car or motorcycle ownership. So I think I'll kind of leave my comments at that for tonight, and let's move forward and see if we can get out of here before it gets too much darker.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Manis?
Thank you for everybody to come out. I do just have a couple comments, because this is one of the only places where I can talk to my people, because I know they're watching. I do want to say, I get where everybody's coming from with the budget, and I think we're going to find some consensus tonight. But one thing that strikes me, Mr. Kadeeman, the public safety hearing that I hope everybody, if you didn't hear about it, it's happening at Birdseye on Thursday. One of the strongest images to me as a teacher teaching in the city was when Freddie Gray was killed, and it was a line of African-American men standing in front of the police officers. They had their lunch boxes on the ground, and the young people were fighting and throwing things, and they kind of just stood like this. And people said, "Why are they protecting the police, miss?" And I said, "They're not." I said, "You think that's what they're doing?" And they went, "Oh, wow. They're keeping the peace." That layer, that group of people in our community are so stressed out with survival right now and getting to work and getting the 100 other things that you need to do, that it doesn't matter if you're white, black, orange, or gray. That layer keeps thinning out. The people who come to our meetings, the people who stand up, they become less and less and less. And I think that it's not the police, it's not the people in front of them, and it's not the protesters. There's that middle layer that's us. What responsibility do we stand up and take in our community? And that if you haven't seen that picture from Baltimore, go find it. It's absolutely fabulous, because it really shows a community taking charge. And I hope that Thursday's meeting will be that, and I hope people will come out and become invested. A boy died here in our streets. We didn't have a moment of silence for him. How come? How come? We have to ask ourselves those questions. I didn't ask for it either. So I have to look at that. What did I do? How do I participate? The chairwoman of the NAACP Education Committee, how do I participate in these things? And how am I helping or not helping? And education is the answer for all of us. There is one thing I want to share regarding a bill that passed at the state level, HB 6880. I want to thank all the legislators that worked on that. Whether you know about it or not, it's a bill for Stratford's future. It puts the affordable housing regulations in check with our local zoning laws. It stops the predators from preying on our town. It's going to help us. So thank your legislators, because 100% of them voted for it. And that's really important. And if you don't think it's preying on towns, it says, while this seems to support more affordability, the IHZ Act is designed to engage low-income housing developers with municipalities to produce more housing. But the lower income targets in this provision will make it more difficult to make a profit, especially in high housing cost areas in Fairfield County. Thus, overall, it could produce less interest. They don't want us unless they can make money from us. I want people in this town who want to open businesses here, who want to educate their kids here, who want to be part of our town, who want to be part of our town. I don't want special interests lobbying for this at the state level against us. This is from an organized group. This was put out. Our legislators stood in opposition to it. In an overwhelming majority, say thank you. We can design our town. We have a say. We need to come out Thursday and have a say. You need to keep coming out every week and have a say. Every meeting, have a say. Even if you don't agree with me, I love that you stand up and you have a say. Thank you, thank you, thank you for loving town and for loving your issues so passionately that you will sit here in 90-degree heat, because it's not cold in here, and fight. Old and young, rich and poor, we're gonna get it together. We might not have a lot of money, but we got a lot of heart. So please support the people that are up here, but support each other at the end of the day. Support each other. Support those men in the back of the room that are here today. Support their efforts and realize we are all working really hard, including Mayor Harkins. He did a budget amendment proposal that streamlined and made this process much more efficient for the council. I'm publicly thanking him for that. When you do good, I say you do good. Ask any of my students. I think you all did a great job, and I think we're going to do a great job tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now it's my turn. Just one little thing I heard was about the noise and lordship at the airport. There is a noise abatement, an airport noise abatement committee, and I encourage you to go to that commission with those complaints. You know, taxes have gone up. Taxes have gone up a lot. And if you look at the budget books, which a number of us have poured over the past year and a half now, you will see that in 2014, fiscal year 2014, the town took out a big pension obligation bond. And that's because in the 70s and 80s and 90s, town councils hadn't funded the pensions the way that they should have been, to the extent that they should have been, actually even going back to the 60s. And this isn't unique to Stratford. It isn't unique to Connecticut. In Connecticut, they had a pension for state workers, and for the first 30 years that pension was set up, the state didn't put anything into it. Made promises to workers and basically kicked the can down the road to the next generation. We are the next generation here, unfortunately. So in 2014, the town did what in the long run is a really smart thing. It took out a big bond, a big loan to fund its pensions. In the long run, it will save the town a lot of money. But even at the time, I was extremely concerned that there was a balloon payment due. And in these years, and we're in the middle of that balloon payment, and it's going to start to go down. But I just want to give you some real figures. In FY14, fiscal year 14, our payment on that bond was $2.2 million. No budget had built in the payments to that bond structurally until last year. We were really, we tried to, there was an effort to sell WPCA to kind of plug in the hole, but there was a $5 million hole last year. Just that part, that one part of our budget, this year, we're paying $13.7 million on that one part of the budget. $13.7 million. That's about 5% of our budget is due to just that pension obligation bond that we took out. In addition, we took out, in 1998, we did the same thing. In 1998, we're paying $8 million a year on that pension obligation bond. So if you add up those two figures, just those two pension obligation bonds, the 1998 and 2013, that's 10% of our operating budget. It's a huge amount of money. So this year, so essentially we had to raise taxes by about $3 million in order just to take care of the 2013 issue of the pension obligation bonds, and about $5 million if you add up the 1998 and the 2013 pension obligation bonds. It hurts, and this is really hurting the town. We are in the middle of this payment. And it will be coming down, and there is some light at the end of the tunnel. At the same time, we will be building Stratford High, and if we ever get a budget pass, we'll be able to take out more bonds to build that school. Fortunately, as the 2013 issue comes down, our payments on that, the payments to the Stratford High bond won't be as high. So we will be seeing in the next couple of years a substantial decrease to the town's operating budget in real terms, not accounting for inflation. So now, last year, we bit the bullet. We said we are going to fix this problem, and in addition, we are going to try to start fixing our education system, where if you looked at the test scores of Stratford, they weren't good compared with others in the state. And we thought that that's not a good way forward for the town. And so that was the double whammy last year, and it was astounding, but frankly, we got through it. We did get through it. So this year, so now we're in 2017, and the question is what to do about 2018. There are some of us who essentially want the budget to account for inflation. That's all that we're doing. We want to account for inflation. Inflation in the northeast urban areas, which is what we are, was 2.5% last year. If you go January to January, it was 2.5%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So the budget that's being proposed has about a 1.7, 1.8% increase in taxes, which beats inflation substantially. So in real terms, it's a decrease. In nominal terms, it is an increase. So we can do that and continue paying all of our obligation bonds. And as much as we all say we love the police and fire department and public works, it's very important to have funds put aside for their workman's comp, which in some budgets you won't see those accounts being funded appropriately. It's important to pay the town's health insurance bills. It's important to pay electricity bills, things like that. So that's basically the issue to me. It's also very important to fund education, and the level that had been proposed by the mayor now at 2.75% is essentially not increasing functions, but allowing the functions that we did increase last year to settle in. It's a modest increase. So on that note, that's my soapbox. On that note, let's move on.
Madam
to
Chairman?
The next item.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
item
Mr.
4.1, letter of resignation from Marie Ferreira, Beautification Committee. Resolved that Maria's resignation from the Beautification Committee be and is hereby accepted.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That motion passes 10-0. Now, there's the mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, council members. Thank you, public, for coming out this evening. As everyone knows, we don't have a budget right now. We did not have a budget passed or voted on prior to May 12th, which, as you know, was enforceable by the town charter. So we're heading into new territory right now. I would hope that this body can get together and hopefully compromise and discuss some priorities and issues and try to really work together in crafting a budget that takes care of the constituency of this town, whether young or old, middle class, lower middle class, those that are in dire need of some relief, and also those who actually pay a lot of taxes. Everyone's watching right now, and I can tell you that I've received a lot of comments, not only from constituents who are starting to be a little concerned or starting to pay attention, which probably isn't a bad thing, but also from businesses also. They're watching what's going on. So I wish you luck. I hope you can work together and hopefully craft a budget by compromising with each other, talking to each other, not yelling at each other, but communicating and trying to emphasize your priorities for our community, which is so important to all of us. That's why we ran. That being said, the fireworks will be June 30th. On a happier note, we're still doing the fireworks despite not having a budget. They were budgeted in last year's budget, so we actually have those covered. So it's Friday, June 30th. The rain date's July 5th. Madam Chairman, the Army engine plant, we're still waiting to hear from the Army Corps of Engineers. However, we have reached out to the White House to ask for support. We're in the process of sending information to them, updating them on the current situation, and looking for some support out of the executive branch of government to give a push and actually have this done. So we're looking forward to that. Also, I'd like to comment on, I see we have some police officers here. Actually, we have all our public safety. Again, I'd like to thank you for all that you do in keeping us safe. You're always there when we need you. But also, I'd like to thank the police department and all their efforts. Chief McNeil?
Chief McNeil?
Chief McNeil? Chief, I just want to congratulate you and your department for not only helping the people of Stratford, but protecting them. Your apprehension on those who commit violence for our citizens is outstanding, that you were able to actually find these people, charge them, more importantly, arrest them. And sending a clear message that we do not tolerate violence in our community. We take it very seriously. We'll actively pursue those who commit violence. More importantly, make the commitment to the public to keep them safe. So I just want to thank the police department and all their efforts. That is all, Madam Chair.
Okay, you have no appointments?
Not at this time.
Okay, if it is okay, I'm going to move through the things that were tabled.
Madam Chairman,
Right.
before
And then
before you do that, I'd like to take up 5.2.2, since we can't do the CEP, CIP, which is the Community Development CDBG grant, which has been delayed. It's late.
Item 5, so you want to, are you making a motion to
5.2.
take that off the table?
Second.
I'm sorry, are you making a motion to take that off the table? It's tabled now.
No, it just said action wasn't taken. I don't, it's
Oh, I'm
not on the
sorry,
table.
I'm sorry.
5.2.2, Community Development Subcommittee, it's the TDBG.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
we specifically need a motion to go out of order, so I
Yes.
think that's where we should start.
yep, I'm sorry, I had tabled, okay.
I just want to explain something. I was told that we could not vote on the CEP.
Yes, okay, let me just go in order here. The committee reports, Ordinance Committee, is there a motion to table 5.2.1?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that is on the table now. I'm sorry, I had written table all through these and hadn't, 5.2.1B, is there a motion to put that on the table?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Ms. Manis. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. C, is there a motion to put that onto the table?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Can. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, so that's put on the table. Passed unanimously. Item D, is there a motion to put that on the table?
moved, Madam Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Chase, seconded by Mr. Harden. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes 10-0. Community Development Subcommittee. Okay,
It was not on the table.
this is not on the table. No,
Oh,
that's
good.
why I stopped there.
Introduce the motion, Mitch.
If you look on page 21 to 23 of our agenda, it is a resolution for approving and authorizing the submission of Action Plan Program Year 43 for Community Development Block Grant funding. So let it be resolved that the proposed action plan for Program Year 43, as summarized in the attachment thereto, be adopted by the Town Council as the town's action plan for the Community Development Year 43. And further resolve that John Harkins, Mayor, Town Hall in Stratford, is authorized as the official representative of the town to submit the action plan for Program Year 43, revisions and amendments thereto, and all understanding, certifications, and assurances contained therein, to provide any additional information which will be required by HUD, so the town may receive its Community Development Block Grant Year 43 funds. And the next page gives you a breakdown of those funds.
Okay, motion introduced by Ms. Zantezo, seconded
Second.
by
Wali
Mr.
Kadim.
Kadim.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Okay, discussion? Ms. Manis?
I would just like to put on record and publicly point out that quite a bit of funding goes to the Stony Brook Gardens Cooperative. The Stony Brook Gardens Cooperative has been receiving funds from this block grant for a number of years to improve their homes. Representative Joe Gresco is currently at the state level, working very hard for flexible housing funds to be used to include Stony Brook Gardens Cooperative into the flexible housing funds with the state. This would require Stony Brook Gardens Cooperative to open their financial books and be completely transparent in order to take advantage of all of that additional funding. That would free up money in the CDBG grant for the other areas of town that are necessary. So I would caution the council that moving forward, and I'm putting this on record, that the petition that was sent by Ms. Palermo in support of HB 6880 to Representative Hoydick and Gresco in helping to push that through, and her understanding of this particular thing now that Joe is working on, that is considered next year when they come forward, whether or not they are cooperating with Representative Gresco to take advantage of this program. They may or may not qualify, but they need to cooperate. And that would be my only
Are
thing.
you offering it, do you want any amendment to this regarding Stony Brook?
This
No.
year, no, but I would say as we move forward, it's in process now, and there have been conversations with the board. They need to try to take advantage of it. Stratford needs all the help it can get. We cannot look a gift horse in the mouth. Maybe they don't qualify, but we have to at least try.
Okay, any more discussion on this?
Yes.
Chairman?
Just to, excuse me.
Mr. Kadim?
Thank you. Just to piggyback off of what Ms. Mann has said, we've been going back and forth about this also. The fact that I live in the 3rd District and I live in a duplex, I don't see any funds coming our way to fix our roof or sidewalks either. And these people are actually homeowners or shareholders in this particular community. So what I'm saying is, we went back and forth about this continuously, and it's just like you said, this year, okay, this will be that. And I was really surprised that every year they were getting so much money, and they was complaining or making the argument that we pay so much taxes, but guess what? You get it back at the end of the year. You ain't running nowhere. You ain't hurting. You get your money back. And then you say, oh, we keep 300-something thousand. We have to legally keep $300,000 in the bank. So why are you coming over here for? You know, when other people can use it more than you. But
Madam Chairman, I just want to comment that
Wait, I'm sorry, you don't have, Ms. Nantezo,
But thank you very much. I mean, everyone worked very hard on this, and I thank everyone for being
thought he was
patient with us as well. But I just want to point out one more thing before I go. Speaking with Mr. What's his name? Chris? Give me his last name.
Van Decky?
Vandecki. And he made a strong point that the money that we get from the state may not be there all the time. So when you get a program going, you should see it to the end instead of piecemealing it like they've been doing for many years. There's a possibility that we will not get the same money every year. So we need to start, and they would clamp down on us because we're not doing the project soon enough. So going forward, we need to just pick out projects and get them done from start to finish, not do 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. No, just do the project or don't do the project. So that's what I've learned over this long journey here. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chase? You have-
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm just looking at the one line item, the Bridgeport Neighborhood Trust, Inc., located at 570 State Street, Bridgeport, Funds for Homeownership Academy Counseling Program. What this program does basically is to help people who are underwater in terms of their mortgage payments. They give counseling and also given assistance on how to negotiate with either their mortgage company or bank if they're underwater and having a hard time paying their mortgage. It's a good service, but the same service is offered over by a number of other nonprofit entities, as well as banks and mortgage companies. So my question is to Ms. Santezo, who brought out this amendment, why are we giving this money to the Bridgeport Neighborhood Trust Company and not some other nonprofit organization?
Ms. Sant-
I'm sorry, no, the question was to Ms. Antezo.
Well, Ms. Santezo brought the amendment out, so I assume that she knew what this was, but if not, I'd be happy to direct it to the gentleman who's raising his hand.
Mr. Bandecci,
Mr.
can
Can.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Can?
Thank you, Chair. Every entity, at least every nonprofit entity, has an opportunity to file an application with the CDBG to participate in the allocation of the grants. Possibly 50 different entities applied, and you can see from this list, about a dozen were approved for funding. This was the only program, to my memory, that was involved in this mortgage support, home ownership program. They brought in, so they're the only ones that got money for this because they're the only ones that came in with that particular argument, if you will, or statement of service. They did demonstrate, I don't recall exactly the number of individuals that they service in Stratford each year, and they seem to have had a good penetration for the people that needed that home ownership support. In term, if you're getting foreclosed on, they provide advice on how to negotiate with your bank. If you're trying to buy a home, they provide advice in that same regard. And there are a number of entities that have overlapping services in town. This is the one that came in and asked for the funding, and because they've demonstrated a consistent ability to actually service the Stratford community, they were approved for funding.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay. I actually have a question for, maybe for Mr. Kadim. 40% of this money is for total public improvements. I'm sorry, under public improvements, 40% of that money is set aside for the Johnson Academy splash pad. And I remember last year, I believe we set aside money for that also. Where in the project, where are we in that? And you had mentioned that there's a risk of money of this program possibly not continuing or continuing at a decreased rate, and that them looking at what projects have been completed.
For me to answer, or you still asking the question?
Well, I asked you, so yes, I'd like you to
Still
answer.
talking, I don't want to talk on top of you. Anyway, first things first, there's been money been put aside for years that has been reallocated. Took the money and did something else with it instead of leaving it there so we can do the project. That's the first thing. Secondly, the money that's there is the recommendation that we have to finish these projects. So far they have the electric there. We're trying to get it. I spoke with young lady in Public Works, Renee, to get an RFP out for the water line. So we're moving along.
So how much does the splash pad cost, and how much is set aside for it? And how much more does this $100,000 represent?
This represents perhaps a third of it, close to a half. So Mr. Vandecki better break down what's going on with all the other money that was put aside. But with this money, this allows it to move forward and start doing the project into completion.
So with this, will it be completely funded?
No, we have to get something from the CIP or private donors. So other people are stepping up.
So how much more money is needed for it to be totally funded?
Well, the breakdown for the whole park should be $390 or $380. So we're almost there. We have, like I said, you would have to give me a better understanding or breakdown from Mr. Vandecki if he's available to do that, because he has the.
The $100,000.
Mr. Vandecki, please.
Unfortunately, I don't have the, the exact breakdown with me. I don't have the prior year action plans. I can certainly get that number for you. It's my understanding that's approximately between 40 and 50% funded currently. But I apologize, I don't have those numbers right now.
And we're allowed to keep putting aside $100,000 every year? or-
Certainly that, that can happen. If the project doesn't move forward, HUD has set forth certain guidelines that require us to reallocate funding. They flag it, and there are, different sets of criteria for that. And what we'll do is we'll bring it up to the subcommittee and say, this money's been flagged. HUD can come in and technically take that money back, so we should reallocate it. And typically what happens is, Mr. Kadim mentioned that money had previously been allocated. There was 1 year worth of funding that was allocated. It was from the 2014 program year in the amount of $50,000 that was set to the Mercer Coal Tower at the request of then Conservation Director Brian Carey. But we did leave, I think it still had about $40,000 of funding there. So the project still had funding, but it was flagged at that point.
Okay, thank you. That's right, I
Madam
forgot about
Chairman?
the Mercer Coal Towers.
I'd move the question.
I'm sorry?
I move the question.
Okay, is there a second to move the question? I
Second.
was gonna do that. All in favor of moving the question?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor of approving the year 43 final plan summary?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Alan, you're on.
5.2.3 is the, excuse me, is the Building Needs Committee. I'm going to call on Alan Llewellyn
Yes,
to
thank you,
guide us
Madam
through this.
Chairman. So this item is listed in the agenda as hiring of the Stratford High School renovations project's independent materials testing agent. Both the subcommittee and the Building Needs Committee met earlier this evening and unanimously decided that be it resolved that the Stratford Town Council accept the recommendation of the Stratford High School Renovation Subcommittee and the Building Committee and formally approve the hiring of Tri-State Materials Testing Lab LLC of Wallingford, Connecticut, to be the independent materials testing agent for the Stratford High School renovation project OSCG number 138-0101, whose contract shall not exceed the amount of $255,960. This will be for all of the concrete, rebar, steel inspections that will be needed during the course of the construction of the building. It's coming from already known funds within the project. There'll be no additional bonding
I'm sorry, can we please
needed
get
for
a
this
second
work.
for that?
Second.
Okay,
Sorry.
now discussion. Mr. Llewellyn?
Sorry, I kind of pre-discussed things there,
Okay.
sorry. So yeah, if anybody has any questions. Sure.
Ms. Manis?
It's just a quick question, and I'm curious as to if all the things, I've seen a lot of things come through for the Stratford High project. So we put a not-to-exceed amount of $255,960. What stops a contractor from spending $255,950 and saying, well, that's what it costs? How do we cap? Is there something within the RFP process that look to see like what their billing for each item would be? Is there a check and balance within this so that we?
Absolutely. Specific to the way this, the materials testing operates, there's basically a menu of services that they provide, and Craig, who's functioning as the program manager on behalf of the town, will be reviewing the monthly billing from Tri-State Materials Testing Lab and ensuring that they comply with all the contractual obligations.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion passes unanimously, 10-0, obviously. It's 5.2.4, Mr. Llewellyn, as Chair of the Short Beach Commission, I'm calling on you for that also.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Short Beach Commission met last Monday, and there's a number of items of business that are about to be taken up. So the first is the waiver of the pavilion and rental parking fee for the Bunnell Class of 1968 high school reunion. And so I would make a motion to grant the waiver of pavilion rental and parking fee.
Okay, discussion? Mr. Can?
This is for one reunion or for all reunions?
No, this is for one. The way the Short Beach Commission works with these is we look at every sort of reunion, individually. They all need to be applied for, and typically on reunions that are 25 years or further, there's usually full waivers granted. I mean, we look at it, it's not really a private event, but it's not really a full-on town-sponsored event. So the fact that these reunions are bringing people who have, been away from Stratford for a significant number of years, bring them back to celebrate their reunions here, they've typically been granted these exemptions.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Mr. Harkins?
Mr.
Mayor
Llewellyn,
Harkins.
I have a question regarding this bold movement of yours with the high school reunions. Why don't you just waive all high school reunions in Stratford in the future and set a threshold at 20 years after, or
We've talked about doing that before at Short Beach Commission, and there just can't seem to be consensus as to how it would be managed. And so sort of the preferred method from before I got involved with Short Beach Commission has been for sort of individual notifications to be made and individual requests to be made, and the Short Beach Commission takes them up on a case-by-case basis.
but should it have to come to the council every time? I mean, is there something that you can approve where the Short Beach Commission can just grant the waiver?
Possibly. I mean, it might be more of a town attorney question. I mean, we could do some sort of an ordinance and codify it.
Okay, it would just help out, I think, move
No,
business along.
I agree. This is, tonight I'll do 2, and probably in my time as the Short Beach Commission Chair has probably been about 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay, yes, Ms. Manis?
I wanted to just share, Mr. Di Lorenzo's out in the audience there with the alumni. We had events scheduled. We were going to have the Bulldog Bash down there. We were going to have multiple high school reunions. They were all turned off by the rental fee and the parking. We had no idea that that was even available, or we would have had every event there. And that would have been a huge thing for the town. We would have purchased things at the concession stands. We wanted to have it there. And, I think either we have to put that out there or put some kind of, it's more efficient to just say this is what we do. Because we were scrambling to find a place, to have it. So, I don't know.
Okay,
All
any
right,
more
something that's
discussion
something
on
I can
this?
look into.
Any more discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes 10-0. 5.2.4B, do we have to do this also?
The same thing?
No, this is a different one. So this is a waiver of pavilion rental and parking fee for the Bunnell High School class of 1972 that is having its 45th reunion, and they sent in a letter requesting a parking waiver as well as a rental fee waiver, and Short Beach Commission unanimously accepted and is looking for the waiver for this function as well.
Okay, so you're making a motion to waive the fee.
Correct.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Mr. Farrington-Posner. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, passes 10-0. C, staffing hours at the entrance gate to Short Beach.
Okay,
Is
so
there a
our,
motion- do it in the form of a motion, please.
absolutely. So, based on a unanimous vote of the Short Beach Commission, making a recommendation that the town council have the Public Works Committee have a discussion concerning charging at the gate from 6 to 8 p.m., as has been done in the past.
Okay,
Madam Chairman, I'd move to refer to Public
works.
Works. I'm sorry, thank you.
Okay, so is there a second, or were you the second?
I want a second.
Seconded by Ms. Manis.
I also would like to put something else
Any
forward.
discussion?
Yeah, so, that little hut, the person who usually works there, the kids who usually work there, I just want to make sure that Public Works Committee carefully considers that this is 6 to 8 o'clock at night. We're talking about dusk, we're talking about, it's not daytime anymore, and that a student would be probably working it and would be closing up, and now we're getting later and later into the night. I know things have been closing down earlier down there, but I don't know what the resolution is, but to just keep that in mind, that these are young people usually that are working alone.
Exactly. I mean, it may necessitate some changing in how the shifting assignments are done down there, or who's done down there. But the commission had a concern that they feel that there's potential lost revenue by the house being locked up at 6 and then basically complete open free public access being granted to Short Beach after 6 p.m. every night.
Can I just follow up with that? One of the
Ms.
things.
Manis?
Sorry, I gotta say this though. It's because it's free that the students go there. Like the young people in town go down there to play volleyball and stuff. It doesn't cost anything, and they don't have stickers on their cars, all of them. So we have to look at that, because a lot of people come to town, and they're in town, and they're, like, I didn't have a sticker on my car when I was a young kid. We waited till the beach closed to go down and play. So, I don't know.
So they're reporting that larger gatherings and sort of events are being held after the closure happens.
Okay, so this is
that's
simply
what
a
we just want
motion.
it explored.
So this is, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to move things along. This is simply a motion to refer this to Public Works. I'm sorry, Mr. Kadim?
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, firstly. Because of the fact that I've been working Park and Rec for years, I've also worked beach sticker. As recent as last year when they called me, oh, Wally, we need somebody at Long Beach. So I'll go down there and help out. It's no big deal. But when you have a child, we always close at 6, because that is a good thing to do before the sun goes down, that the children can actually come in and enjoy the beach, and also incentive to other people that are not in our town to come down to the beach. But we also have a police presence as well. The other aspect of it is, it's good to close at 6 because there's money in that hut as well. you know, they're collecting money. At one time, I think I collect over $300 and something. Now, if a child is down there collecting that kind of money at 8 o'clock at night, who's to say what's going to happen? So I'm saying that's something to think, to be looked at a little more and to think about before we put somebody down there. Most times it's children that's going to be there collecting money from 6 to 8. So that's something to think about.
Thank you.
One second. I understand your comments, Councilman Kaneem, and that's why this is being kind of made as a suggestion item for further discussion.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just through the chair, I just have a question for the Short Beach Commission Chairman. What are the current hours of staffing?
I believe it's 8 to 6.
It's 8 to 6, so we're adding an extra 4 hours.
2 hours. 2 hours. It would be the 6 to 8 p.m. in the evening, so it would make the hours 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
It's 8 to, okay, so it's 8 to 6 currently? So you're adding 2 hours in the morning?
No, 2 hours at night.
Oh, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay. So you're just adding 2 hours at night?
Exactly. That's why
Okay.
it could be just
Sorry, I
as
read
simple
that
as a
as
matter
AM.
of assigning an older person to close up at 8 p.m. and then adding 2 hours to a shift and reshuffling the deck.
Has there been any kind of, through the chair, I'm sorry. Has there been any kind of research as to how much revenue is lost? Have there been people counting cars to see how many people are coming in throughout the time?
That's what we're kind of looking to have the further discussion with Public Works about and have it be further hashed out. We're sort of at the limits of what the Short Beach Commission is able to do on its own, and so that's why we've made the recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
This is simply just to refer it to Public Works and have
Thank
that
you.
discussion there. All in favor of referring this to Public Works, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 10-0. Okay, next item is Short Beach Commission recommendation.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So also from our meeting last week, we would like to have it be resolved that we start a conversation with the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission jointly discussing making the swimming area at Short Beach smaller. And so I'll be
Okay,
looking
is
for
there a second? Second. So this is essentially being referred to the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission. Okay, discussion?
Yeah, what the,
Ms. Manis?
why this needs to be smaller? What's going on?
Sure. A couple of the members of the Short Beach Commission have done some research and looked into sort of the Connecticut state statutes that govern lifeguards overlooking a beach, and we currently employ 3 lifeguards in shares at Short Beach, and the current swimming area is larger than what the state regulations allow. And so, again, Short Beach Commission does not have the authority to make this decision on its own, and so in conjunction with the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission, we're looking to have a joint conversation about adjusting the swimming area.
Okay, Mr. Kadim?
Madam Chair, this is really interesting. So I mean, I understand they did the research. I understand they did the research, and in terms of people being serviced that lives in this town, it's supposed to be 52,000+ people. Shortening the beach, I mean, it is not for everybody in terms of wherever they said the beaches were shorter, and we have 3 lifeguards. It's been like this for years. And to my understanding, I've never seen any major situation that occurred down there. Perhaps I'm not privy to that knowledge. If it's a situation where you may need one more lifeguard, I can understand that as well. But the shoreline is not that big to begin with. I mean, that beach is a small one. Down Longbrook is not really even structured to take some parts of the Longbrook part. I mean, Long Beach is rocky. It's not even, you can't even use that. Only a short part of that can be used, but as far as beach is concerned, that's the only place we actually have that's really laid out and cleaned and straightened out. And I understand to have that conversation to see if we can shorten it. I mean, I think that's something that should go to the public, because the public uses it, not the commission.
Well, no, I agree, but I think that's kind of what we're looking to do. Apparently, the way that the riptides function has also changed, and so what we'd like to do is kind of talk about that with the Waterfront and Harbor Management and bring the swimming area a little bit, further away from where the lighthouse base is. That's just off the water there. Also, the current swimming area comes almost up to an outflow pipe. And, post-storm, that causes some tricky, interesting, issues with the currents as well. So we'd also like to look to move the swimming area a little bit further away from that.
So basically what we're saying is, through the chair, I'm sorry, basically we're dealing about safety in terms of that particular pipe. How many are there that suck the water down? How many?
I was actually, I only have one copy of it, but on the information I was given, it shows one outflow pipe almost all the way down kind of where Wayne's Walk is.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I can understand that. Okay, thank you for clarification.
Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye to referring this to the Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Now Town Attorney's Report, Mr. Hodgson. Okay.
Good evening. Need a bigger microphone. After the meeting on the 5th in May, I sent a letter to Mr. Quiles, who is the owner of 107 Beers Place, with a copy of a contract. I've not heard back, so if anybody has any direct contact with them, or email or something else other than just mailing something, I'd like to get another version out to them.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I do have direct contact.
May I give you a copy?
Mr.
of
Quiles,
the contract?
yes.
Have them contact me?
And you said you sent it on when?
I just mailed it on May 10th.
And you haven't received?
Heard anything back from them.
Okay.
I just need him or his attorney to contact me.
Okay, will do. I'll make sure he gets it.
okay, then, okay,
And then once we have a contract under control, we'll come back to the council for approval.
okay, thank you. 5.3.2 is this communication regarding the NNW Island taxes? Mr. Floric?
Yes, Madam Chairman. In fact, 5.3.2 and 5.3.3 are essentially the same problem. This involves two small islands off of the coast in Housatonic River. About 10 or 12 years ago, there was a duck hunting problem down there, and the landowners took it upon themselves to actually quitclaim themselves the property of these two islands in order to make sure that duck hunters did not come back, because it was a danger to them and their children. They maintained the property for a while, but now certain people have moved away, and it's becoming a hardship on these people. So they want to quitclaim it back, well, they want to quitclaim it to the town. Problem is, they don't own it. We don't know who owns it. They did a kind of a charade and quitclaimed the property themselves, which gave them really no interest in it. Title search was done way back when, and the title searcher really couldn't tell who owned these islands. It doesn't look like the town ever owned them. It looks like the state owned them, if anything. So Attorney Jackson and I, in talking about it, decided that the better way to do it would be not to perpetuate a problem with the land records and have the town take it, but simply to have the landowners file an affidavit on the land records to say that they don't own it, they never owned it, they don't have any adverse possession rights, and that will essentially return the property back to the way it was before the fictitious quitclaim of 10 or 12 years ago. So that's a recommendation, unless this council has something better to do with that property.
Mr. Floric, can I just ask, since I had brought this up to the town attorney's office, I understand that these neighbors had been paying taxes on this.
They have paid taxes on it since...
As if they had owned it.
Right. When I believe what happened was the town probably picked up the deed, showing title in them, didn't really inquire as to the underlying circumstances of the deed, and began taxing them. They willingly paid those taxes because it was an indicia of ownership, and that way they could keep the duck hunters off the property. But that problem has since disappeared, and now they don't want to pay the taxes anymore. It's becoming a burden on them.
Do we owe them their taxes back?
No.
Okay. And then, so what do we need to do here?
Well, again, our recommendation, again, just bringing this to you, is that we file an affidavit really wiping out their ownership interest. That way, they will not be paying any more taxes. That will put the title to the properties back in, I don't know, whoever owned it prior to 2004.
Okay, Mr. Chase?
Yeah, John, a quick question. There's a question of ownership, who owns the islands.
Absolutely.
Can the town, in effect, take them?
Well, the town can always take anything
Okay.
on a condemnation, but
Right.
you
Well,
don't want to do that because
wait. No, I don't understand why we wouldn't want to do that, because I think these two islands would be a perfect location for another conservation area.
because the reason you don't want to do that logistically is because we really don't know who owns it. The title searcher, when title was searched back in 2004, really couldn't give a concrete answer to that.
I
And
suspect...
it may even be the state. In fact, the likeliest culprit is the state.
John?
Excuse me, I saw the floor. Did you check the Coast Guard? Coast Guard does maintain maps and who owns islands.
I did not. I'm going by the title search that's in the
Okay.
file.
If I may, sir, we looked at a title search. They, as far as they can tell, these are tidal islands, and so it would probably be the U.S. Corps of Engineers, not the Coast Guard.
That's what I meant.
And the Corps of Engineers has no record of them. As far as the title company can tell, they just developed over the last 100 years or so. And the question why would the town may not want to own them is we then have to maintain them. All of a sudden, right now, the question of who owns them is open to interpretation.
Well, it sounds like no one owns them, so maybe the mayor can get in a rowboat, go over there with a town flag and plant it.
But that
Madam
actually is
Chairman.
quite possible.
Okay,
Madam
Ms.
Chair,
Antezzo.
I just wondered, Attorney, for what it's worth, there's a sign on the Devon Bridge that's right at the Milford side of the Housatonic that says Town of Stratford starts here. So if we own everything in the river,
When talking to the title company, you theoretically own everything in the river, except that it's a navigable waterway, which is in theory either owned by the state or by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. So because it is not directly attached to the town of Stratford, the ownership's open to interpretation. So we could take a quitclaim deed, and then we would own it, the town of Stratford. But then if a bunch of kids were having a party out there, somebody would have to go out and police it. Right now, the question of ownership is open to interpretation. So we're coming to you to say, how would you like to address this? There is a statute, 4712A, that allows for an affidavit of facts. An affidavit of facts would be instrumental on the land records and would simply say, the owners would say, we don't know why we put it in our name, but we didn't mean it. And I've talked to the title company, and they would basically put the question of ownership back into play. At that point, the owners, if there's somebody's having a party out there, we could either send the police boat or the Coast Guard, or we can call somebody else. But the idea would be not to take ownership of something that's not readily attachable by the town.
Okay, thank you. It's really fun to talk about islands rather than budgets. So, okay, next item is Pastor versus Town of Stratford.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, was there?
doesn't we need a
I
motion
didn't think so. I thought
to...
he was just informing us.
It was information. My report was what we intended to do
Yeah,
unless you have some better
Sounds good.
idea.
sounds good.
Okay. Do we need to approve the recommendation?
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Okay.
I so move.
Okay, all in favor of discussion?
I
Ms.
just have one.
Antezzo?
I forgot my question.
Okay. I move the question.
Okay, all in favor of moving the question, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor of approving the recommendation, say aye. 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 All opposed, motion passes 10-0. Pastor versus
Madam
Town of
Chairman.
Stratford?
Madam Chairman, I just want to ask, where are these islands actually located?
They're about 100 feet off of the mainland in the Housatonic River at property located, I think it's 550 Housatonic and 560 Housatonic.
If you go all the way down Housatonic and there's a circle, all the way down Housatonic Avenue, right off of there.
When you
Two
get down
little
Norman
islands.
Circle, the road, I'm trying to figure out where that is.
Mitzi, come visit me one day. I'll take you. It's my hood, okay?
It's my hood, too.
I'll show you.
My old hood.
gonna have all the
Okay, Pastor versus Town of Stratford.
That's where we have
Just
Block
moving
Park.
along.
Yes, Madam Chairman, that's simply a report. We tried this case, pastor sued the town of Stratford. The dollar figure was not big. However, the concept was a little bit different. And this kind of ties into somebody's question earlier, and that is, Pastor claimed that she had purchased a lot. It was not a building lot. It was worthless to her, yet she had paid a water assessment for years and years and years, and now she sued the town to get that water assessment back. And we thought that was important enough to fight that, because you don't want to set the precedent or the concept of people being able to go back in time numerous years in order to obtain reimbursements on taxes or assessments that they now claim should not have been assessed. We tried the case and we prevailed. So that's over.
Okay, thank you. Thomas versus Vaughn? Executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session? The people needed for executive sessions are Attorney Hodgson, Attorney Florek, Attorney Smith. The town council, is there any, the mayor and the CAO? Chris, is there anybody else? Oh, we don't need the mayor or CAO? Okay. Okay, is there a motion for that?
So moved, Madam
Is
Chairman.
there a second?
Second.
All in favor going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 10-0.
Come out of
We don't have a
executive
quorum
session.
here yet.
Second. Where'd they go?
6. Madam Chairman, I move we come out of executive session.
Yes, and there was a second by Ms. Antezo for that. All in favor of being out of executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes by a majority. Okay, is there a motion to approve the discussion, as was discussed in executive session? Moved by Mr. Hardin, seconded by Ms. Antezo.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 10-0.
Nay. Opposed.
Oh, I'm sorry, one opposed. The motion passes 9-1. Were there any other opposed? Okay, motion passes 9-1. Now we're into old finished business and/or old business. There are tabled items that we are going.
Madam Chair,
I-
you skipped
wait,
questions to the
wait a s-
mayor or staff.
Oh,
Are we
okay, I'm
skipping
sorry.
that?
Questions to the town attorney. Are there any questions to the town attorney? Okay, are there any questions to the mayor?
Yes.
Who was that?
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Can we table questions to the mayor just for expediency?
Second.
Second, we can come back to that after he's present. All in favor of tabling that? Aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion passes 10-0. Okay, now we're into the tabled items. I'd like to take, if somebody could take item 7.1.1A, which
Madam-
is the Planning Commission, off the table.
Madam Chairman, I think we could take both of these off at the table at the same time.
A and B?
Without having a separate vote. Therefore, I would move we take item 7.1.1A and B off the table.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay,
Madam Chairman?
yes.
Item A,
I'm sorry, we didn't, did
Yes.
we vote on that?
No, we didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing it. I'm sorry, Mr. Chase? Go ahead.
all right, we move to take it off the table. Did we vote on that?
All in favor of taking that off the table?
Aye.
Okay,
Ma-
that passes
ma-
10-0.
Madam Chairman, the Planning Commission met on January 17th, at which time the following was referred to the council for favorable recommendation. Preliminary design for the Stratford Greenway Extension Project resolved that the recommendation of the Planning Commission is accepted, and the preliminary design report, the Stratford Greenway Extension Project, be and is hereby approved. I so move, Madam Chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? I have one question on this design report for the Stratford Greenway Extension. Is there anybody who can answer any questions on that? No? Well, just for the record, I want to voice my concern about having a bicycle lane on Elm Street between the blocks of East Broadway and Broad Street, because I the plan is to have a bicycle lane there, have that 2-block area marked up, have a bicycle lane there, and not have parking on one side of the street. I think that would be a hardship for some of the residents there. Not only that, but having a bright yellow line and that all marked up would impact the historic nature of that 2-block area.
Madam Chair, as a councilman of that street, I do agree with you. I think it would be a hardship on the residents there. I go down there quite often, and there are cars parked on both sides of the street, and I think it would do a disservice to homeowners there that pay taxes to be able to have their cars parked in front of the street, especially if they're a two-car household or 3-car household. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I don't think there should be a bike lane on that short part of Elm Street.
Yep, and that's, yeah,
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Item A, I move the question.
okay.
Excuse me, I didn't.
Oh, Mr.,
I always raise my hand.
there's a
Nobody
motion to
have
move
see
the
me. I
question.
guess-
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, no
Well,
second.
okay.
Mr. Kadim.
Thank you very much. Yes, I also think it's a safety issue because there's children living there and, and cars together with the bikes. That's something to think about as well. Not, also definitely with the parking, but also safety reasons.
Have sidewalks.
So I guess I'd like to,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I'd just like to express a little bit of concern with some of the comments I'm hearing. This commission met on January 17th. I was part of a lot of the online discussions with regards to the Greenway Extension project. They asked for comments. They asked you to go online to draw where you wanted the bikes to go. They asked for the public's input. They've put a lot of time and effort into this. I think to come now,
Ms. Manis, I've provided this comment previously.
I know you
Okay.
did, but I'm saying to you, to come now and say that you're going to kibosh the project, which is in set for grant funding and all kinds of
I
things.
don't think I said that. I think I said I was
I
concerned.
don't think
I know,
anybody
but-
wants to kibosh the project.
I'm saying
Just need some modifications.
there are a few modifications that you can make with regards to where this can go due to the fact of where the loop has to be and all kinds of stuff. There's other things to think about. They didn't come and say, oh, we want to put it here because of this. People wanted certain destinations included on the Greenway. There might be something historic there that somebody said this would be a good stop. It has to do with where the railroad passes. It has to do with where the bike bike crosswalks will be, and all of that is considered. So I would suggest if people have concerns about this, that they reach out to the people who are on that specific subcommittee. They attended last March. They were part of the networking event I did at Second Hill Lane. They shared the project. They have maps. They have all kinds of things going on. This was last March. So please reach out to them if you have specific concerns or you want to know why they made certain choices, because I had a lot of those same things. I was like, well, why are you doing this here? And then, oh, okay, that's why. It all has to do with, we have very limited choices because of that railroad trestle, and to make the loop and to do all the things to get to the Greenway and make it a pretty walk. So I'm saying, I would speak specifically to Harold Watson. He's on that committee. I would definitely talk to him because I know they've been waiting a very long time for this project to get off the ground, and there's been a lot of people put a lot of effort into those exact things you're talking about. They don't want to disturb anything, but they want to make sure that, the project was done well.
Sure. Ms. Manis, just for the record, I have voiced my concerns about marking up that area before.
Madam Chairman?
And as a council person from the Historic District and resident, I think it's
Madam
important to,
Chairman?
again, make my concerns known.
Madam
Yes,
Chairman?
Ms. Antezo?
I just want to make a comment. Since we're voting on A, you'll notice it says the preliminary design report. We're accepting the preliminary. It gives you a little wiggle room for changes, so I think
you.
it's a good thing to accept.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of accepting the preliminary design report, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes 10-0.
Madam
Item
Chairman?
B?
Item B,
Is there a motion to take item B off the table?
we took them
I'm
both
sorry,
off at
I'm
the table at the same
getting
time.
tired.
Item B, Madam Chairman, resolve, the recommendation of the Planning Commission is accepted in the final design report, services provided by the BSC Group for extension of the Stratford Greenway System B, and is hereby approved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Manis. Discussion? No discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Madam Chairman?
I'm opposed to that one. The motion passes 9-1.
You want 7.1.2?
Okay? Yes, Mr. Chase.
Madam Chairman, the rest of the items on that section are tabled. Therefore, I would make a motion to waive the rules to take the following items out of order so that we may then proceed with addressing the town's budget. Item 8.3, which is the vapors ordinance, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4.1, and 9.4.3.
Is there a second for that? To take those items out of order? Seconded by Mr. Can. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have a question. What,
We're in the middle of a motion.
All in favor?
but I just want you to repeat the numbers.
Okay, you can, here.
Okay, the motion is to take items 8.3, then go to 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4.1, and then 9.4.3. I'll lead us through it, bit by bit, out of order. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion passes 10-0. So now let's move to 8.3. We are simply referring this to ordinance.
Madam
Okay,
Chairman, this is the
8
groundwater ordinance for sponsored with the first, resolved that the first reading of the above entitled ordinance be and is hereby dispensed with in copies. I'm reading the, dispensed with, as copies therewith have been previously furnished to each member of the town council, and that the same be adopted at the first reading, referred to the ordinance committee for public hearing.
Okay, is there a second to move this to ordinance?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Farrington Posner. All in discussion, all in favor of moving this to ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that goes to ordinance. Motion passes 10-0. Now we're going to 9.1, which is new business. Okay. This is the council chamber sound video upgrade by HB Communications. We need to approve this. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Okay, 9.2, which is the intercom expansion for Bunnell High School, and their change orders from Geddes Architects. The first change order is there a motion to
Madam
approve the
Chairman?
first change order?
I would move that 9.2A, number 02, be approved for $6,741.55 to install the new sound system, PA system in the gymnasium at Bunnell High School.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? I have a,
I'd like to know where the funding for this is coming from. As I understood it, all the money that was available for everything at Bunnell was being used in the field house. Where'd this money come from?
Mr. Timniak or Wahlberg, the question is on item 9.2.A for the sound system in Bunnell, where's the money, from what fund is the money coming?
You might as well tell us about B2 because that's going to be the next question.
They're both coming from the same place. There was an appropriation in last year's capital for $300,000 to address some issues in the school. Intercom was part of that, water coolers, locks on interior doors. So there was a separate project for Bunnell outside of the field house that was appropriated for these projects specifically.
That money wasn't used for the field house?
No, that was not, because this was a whole separate project that was brought up last year and appropriated last year.
Okay, Mr. Llewellyn?
Yeah, I believe we're handling this project through building needs, and it's my recollection that this project is largely a fire alarm upgrade. And so basically what's been happening is they've been using the fire alarm system as a means of making announcements, and what this will allow for separation of the AV from the fire alarm system.
So I had a question.
Okay, Mr. Kadim?
Through the chair. So is it in the budget, where the money is at? Because, I mean,
That is correct. It is in the budget. There were funds set aside for
what's the number?
a bunch of projects. I'd have to go back and get you the account number, or I can pull from the.
With all due respect,
I'm sorry, Mr. Kadim has the
I'm
floor.
not finished. I don't have a problem approving it, but, and of course, anything needs to be done in the schools, of course we got to take care of them. So I don't have a question. The question was more about where the money come from. So this is the reason why I asked this, is because it always seems like money comes out of nowhere when
No,
you
this
need
was-
it. So that's why I just wanted to be clear
there when we need it.
where the money came from. So I'm not here debating about getting it done for the price. That's not the question. So I'm not debating the number either, or questioning the number, the amount to fix what needs to be fixed. But when you just said it's $300,000 to the side, I'm like, well, okay, well, I didn't see
No, there wasn't 300,000 to the side. In the capital plan that was adopted by the council last fiscal year, there was a Bunnell Projects line item for $300,000 that upgraded their intercom system so they can now communicate to the cafeteria, which was a safety issue should
no
they have to go
problem.
lockdown.
I don't have a problem
So
with that.
this is all part of that.
No problem, because
This was
it
all
was
part of
it was
what you
also,
guys
yes.
had adopted and approved in last year's capital plan.
Well,
I
that's
can
why I
fill
asked
out
the
the
line item. That's why I asked that, because also what happened is with the field house, there was other projects that was slated to get done through building needs, and they took money from there saying, okay, we don't need to do that now. Let's use that for the field house. So that's why
Yes,
the
and this
whole
money-
Board of Ed thing is a fuzzy like cloud, and you can't see anything till you want you to see it. I don't understand that, but go
No,
ahead.
it's in the adopted capital plan, and I can definitely provide you
No,
with
I don't have
that
a
page
problem
in the
with
book.
the amount. I just said that. It's just that every time you need money, it's always there. But when we need money for other things, it's not there. So, you just don't cut me off. I'm still talking. But anyway, thank you for taking the time to explain.
Okay, Ms. Manis?
So,
Under the rules, each councilman can talk once, and then you go around the second time.
I don't think she had spoken yet.
Yeah,
had
she did.
I haven't spoken on this yet.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
I asked where the money came from.
That-
I'm sorry, so if that's,
That's a question.
That's a,
well, then you're
My
gonna
Okay, you
vote.
were
question
right.
is this a contract that's been awarded? And the work is being done currently?
The work is not being done currently because the change order has to get approved before the work proceeds. What happened was when they started the project for the intercom system and they opened up the walls, they came across some other items that needed to be addressed. And instead of going and closing the walls up and then paying to have them opened again to now address this issue, it would be cheaper to just do it now while the walls are open and the intercom and the wiring system is currently being done, which was a separate project that was in the book that went out to bid, and that was,
Got it, okay. I got my question answered. I yield to Ms. Manis.
Ms. Manis?
You're wonderful. I know you're doing your job, and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. This is a bunch of BS, and I'm going to tell you why. Because a year ago, we were approached by the school to purchase for the Alumni Association a PA for the gymnasium because they don't have one for pep rallies. I find it amazing that it's now become a fire issue, and this whole thing has invented itself. I am telling the truth because I don't lie. I have emails to prove it. I wish Bobby was sitting here. This is ridiculous. That was asked. We were asked for money. We were told there is no money for it. We need you to support this. We need to do it. It came before me, and I said, no, we don't make capital improvements for schools because we're an alumni association. We were then approached about TV monitors for the whole building and said that those were going to be part of it. I said, no, we don't buy capital. That's up to the town to purchase. The town has to support that. We said no because we wanted to give the money to kids, take them for pizza, do fun things with our students. We said no. We bought T-shirts, gave money directly to the coaches, and we said no. Now it's magically appearing on an agenda in front of me. I'm sorry, guys. I love my high school, but I have a lot of questions about this. And you found the money, and that's awesome, but where was it a year and a half ago when we were asked for it? When the Alumni Association was approached multiple times, we went out and did an RFP ourselves to try and find the money to do this. Where was the money then? Because it didn't exist. It didn't exist, and that's the truth. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you, this is crazy. I've never heard of anything, and now it's fire and alarms and all this stuff. What? Like this was because they needed a PA for pep rallies, and we were told that. Unless that was a lie to our side, I'm not sure.
Ms. Sarah, can I just ask, a year and a half ago, this money is from last year's CEP, right?
yes, that's
It
correct.
hadn't been passed a year and a half ago, correct?
No, it was
No, it was
passed
passed just a year ago. So that seems, Well, you said a year and a half ago, I thought.
It's been since a year and a half ago, and it's been ongoing for a while. And I just asked, I said, what is this?
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Okay, Mr. Harden?
I don't know.
So when you say this system is integrated with the fire PA system, is there a safety issue there? Is the fire PA system being compromised? Someone made a comment that they're using the fire system to also make announcements, or they're using it to...
What happened was, it was brought to our attention that when they do make an announcement, it doesn't carry into the cafeteria or the gymnasium. So it was a safety issue. We addressed that issue in last year's capital plan by proposing a project to update that system. When we opened up the walls, we found there were some other issues that if you address it now would be cheaper than going back out and going out to RFP and getting a whole new contractor come in, reopen the walls and update the system.
So right now, there is no current compromise, fire safety?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
Okay, Ms.
Chairman,
Antesi?
I'd like to move the question.
Okay, all in favor of is there a second for moving the question? All in favor of moving the question, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion to move the question passes 10-0. All in favor of item A, provide and install the new sound system in the gymnasium, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion passes 10-0. Item B, provide and install, I'm sorry, is there a motion for item B?
I would move item B, 03, in the amount of $8,369 to provide and install new sound system, PA in the cafeteria.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Can. Discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Ridiculous.
Nobody's opposed? Okay, the motion passes 10-0. Very good. 9.3 is the Public Works Drainage Improvement Projects. There was a bid, is somebody here from Building Needs? This went through Building Needs, correct? Or Public Works? Mr. Young, did you deal with this?
No, a little bit about John was here. I don't think he's still here. Right, he forwarded it because these are projects that they had just gotten the bids on, and they wanted to get it done before summertime was over. So they needed to have this come out, and we didn't have time to get it to Public Works first, so he asked us to please approve it straight through the council.
Okay, and this is funded by existing town bond funds. Is there a motion that you would like to make, Mr. Young, regarding this?
Yeah, let's see. So this would be 9.3A, bid number 2017-023, widening of Tanner's Brook. Resolved that the bid of Dayton Construction of Watertown, Connecticut be accepted, and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Dayton Construction on the basis of their lowest bid submitted in the amount of $980,778 for the performance of said work in accordance with the plans and specifications prepared by the STV Inc. and subject to the inspection and approval of STV and the town engineer.
Okay, is there a second to that? Seconded by Mr. Llewellyn. Discussion? Mr. Can?
Thank you, Chair. The question is, how much money was bonded and what year was it bonded in?
Okay, Ms. Sarah or Mr. Wahlberg or Mr. Timniak?
Oh, that's been going on for a couple.
There's a question about the $980,000. And the question is where
This
did
was,
the bonded money
it
come?
definitely was bonded. It has come up where the project's going to be completed. What year it was, I believe, was probably around 2015, 2014.
Do you recall the amount it was bonded for, Mr.?
I went over it with the town engineer, and there was sufficient funds that was discussed with him. As far as the total amount, no, I do not know at this
Jay, could you get us some specifics on the year and the amount that it was bonded for? Could you, yes or no, from the engineer?
I can get that for you. I don't have it with me.
No, and forward it to the members of the council?
Yes, I can, by all
So-
means.
Just, so the concern is, we've heard cases where we may budget a lot, but it comes in under budget, and then what is the delta between the two, and what may those extra available funds be used for? So just having some cognition as we approve these, including item B, which is just below it, what the bonding was, how well we did in estimating the costs of the project. So are we estimating effectively? Are we padding things inefficiently? And what would we do with the delta between the original bond and the actual project cost? That's the purpose of my question.
Okay.
While you're there, could you answer, is it possible to skip to number B and just?
No, it's not now. We're on A. We're going to, this is discussion of A. Is there any more discussion of A? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. There's one opposed. Motion passes 9-1. Okay. Item B, the Bruce Brook West Avenue storm drain improvements. There were bids submitted May 23rd, 2017. It's recommended, this is yours, right?
Madam Chairman?
No, I'm sorry. I'm calling him Mr. Young.
Be it resolved that the bid of Grasso Companies LLC of Norwalk, Connecticut be accepted, and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Grasso Companies on the basis of their lowest bid submitted in the amount of $375,662.50 for the performance of said work in accordance with the plans and specifications prepared by Weston and Sampson and subject to the inspection and approval of Weston and Sampson and a town engineer.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Santezo. Discussion? Being no discussion.
Have a discussion.
Oh, Mr. Can?
Yeah, same question for Mr. Wahlberg and Renee.
Mr. Wahlberg? I think, Mr. Wahlberg? The question is,
The year
Mr. Can?
bonded,
There's this amount of $375,000 being discussed.
yes.
Mr. Can has a question on that.
The year bonded and the amount it was bonded for.
I will report to the board on that issue.
Okay.
I know it was an ongoing project, and I think this is the last to finish it. I'm not sure, but in any case, I will report to the council as to the account and the year in which it was approved, and whatever expenses.
Yeah, and if this is one phase of a larger project, then maybe some estimate in regards to what the run rate is towards the total cost?
What was spent year to date, what's going out to bid. I did go over this with John Casey, the funds were there, okay? I can get back to you as to the specifics.
Again, yeah, the purpose is to measure the effectiveness of our estimation process and to assure that we're on track to come in, let's say, under budget for both of these projects.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to, for a point of information, everyone gets this agenda early. If you have questions regarding these projects, please call the Finance Department, and we'll try to provide the information just to save time during meetings. And this way, you can have some time to digest the information. If you have any extra questions, you can maybe perhaps call us during the day to get answers, to fulfill any questions or any analysis that you may want to look at. But certainly, our staff here would be more than happy to provide information prior to the meeting. This way, just for the sake of expediency and efficiency, at least people would be more informed and be able to answer some of your questions as opposed to doing it on the spot and
Madam
taking up
Chair?
time during the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you,
Madam Chair?
Is there anybody else who wants to discuss on this question? Okay, Mr. Can?
Yeah, it's an excellent point. We should all be more diligent about reading our packets at the time that they're received and get questions to the staff as soon as possible. Just for the record, I'd say I've sent dozen emails with questions and received 0 responses from the staff. And it's not encouraging when you ask questions specific to the agendas, to the CIP, or to the budget itself, and you get not an answer. That is absolutely true, unequivocally. You've been copied on them, Mr. Mayor.
You're a serial questioner, and quite frankly, no one understands what you're talking about.
So you
If
crickets,
you're-
you
if
don't
you're-
answer at all?
That's not true.
There's
I know
zero
Okay,
staffers.
Mr. Ken, you
They
don't
give
have...
you the answers that you don't want.
Okay. we're gonna
Zero
move on.
answers,
We're gonna move
public.
on. We're going to stop with that discussion. Mr. Kadim?
Yes, I don't disagree that these projects need to be done, but the questions are valid. You know, where's the money come, since we have to vote on the budget each year, it should be okay to find out this information. That's why I voted no last time. Not that I'm against it getting done, not that I'm against the company that got awarded the contract, but you have to do a better job of that, because quite naturally, when you raise the taxes, it's based upon something that was done here. So I want to make sure that, I'm quite sure that's Mr. Khan's thought process also, is that he want to understand where the money's come from so that we don't have to incur something next year or what have you, so we actually know what's going on. So that's all it is. It's not any slight on anyone. I just want y'all to understand that's where it's coming from. Thank you.
Okay. Being no more, Mr. Harden?
You know, I know there's a lot of questions, but, you know, I have to fight for some of these projects because they're in my area. You know, the Bruce Avenue and the West Avenue storage drain improvements, you know, so it's important that we get it done. And I know there's some questions of where the financing is coming from. I think I spoke to the engineering department, and there was some financing that has been in place for some time for these projects to go forth. And so I know there were some questions, but I believe that there was some financials put in place for a few years to have this project done. And so it's imperative that we have this project done. You know, most people that live on Bruce Avenue and Bow Avenue, their backyards are being flooded out by untaking of water when we have heavy rain. And so this area needs to be debrided and widened in order to make it a little easy on the people who live in this area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I sat in
Okay,
those meetings.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 10-0. Okay, motion passes 10-0. 9.4,
I'm sorry, there's one opposed. I'm opposed.
I'm sorry, you were opposed?
Yes.
Let me
Because once
change
again,
that
where's
to,
the money come from?
okay. That motion passes, I'm sorry, it was 9-1, not 10-0. On appointments, there is an appointment to be made on the Inland Wetlands Watercourses Commission, 9.4.1, Mr. Chase.
Madam Chairman, resolve that Dennis Blake of Stratford being is hereby appointed as an at-large representative to the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission, replacing the term of Adriana Rawls Fine. Ms. Fine resigned effective May 31, 2018.
Okay, is there a second? to that?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Antezo. Discussion? Okay,
I'm
all
sorry.
in favor, say aye.
I'm sorry, Madam Chairman,
What?
I need to amend my motion. Her term, I'm sorry, that's correct. Her
Yeah, you
term
had it right.
expires on
May.
May
she-
31st,
he-
2018.
He's replacing her for that
But she
slot.
resigned.
He's replacing that slot.
Yeah.
The new appointee has a term until May 31st, 2018.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes 10-0. Now we're skipping down to 9.4.3, Waterfront and Harbor Management Commission.
Yes, Madam Chairman, resolve that Reese Mitchell of Lordship Stratford be and is hereby appointed a regular member of the Waterfront Harbor Commission. The term of Thomas Logan expired May 31, 2017, and wishes not to be reappointed.
Okay, is there a second?
By the way, I would just mention that these recommendations were made by the entire commission.
The commissions themselves. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Harden. Discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the new term if Thomas Logan's term expired May 31st? Would it be a year from now or two?
It's a 5-year.
5-year? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Till 2022.
So right there.
Okay.
Wow, 2022. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes 10-0. 9.4.3B,
Yes, Madam Chairman, the last one before we get to the fun part. Resolved that Brian Yarmish of Stratford, Housatonic Avenue, Stratford, be and is hereby appointed a regular member of the Waterfront Harbor Management Commission. The term of Brian Harmish expired on May 31, 2017. The councilors may recall that we appointed him to finish on an expired term, I believe, a month and a half ago. He's up for his full term.
Second.
second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes 10-0.
Madam Chair, I'd like to take an item, I guess, out of order. 9.4.2, Arts Commission, 3-year term, appointed by the council. A, is there a second, I guess? Take it, can I?
Second.
Okay, there was a motion and a second to take 9.4.2 out of order. A, all in favor, say aye to take that out of order.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye,
Opposed.
I'm opposed. Is anybody else opposed? There were
Roll
3
call.
opposed.
Roll call.
To take that out of order. Scott? Mr. Farrington Posner?
Yes.
Okay,
All is
I know.
taken out of order.
Mr. Kadim?
Yes, take it out of order.
Mr. Harden? Yes? Mr. Can?
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Talked about this slip on for hours.
That's all right.
Fine. Yeah.
Does he have a name?
And Chair votes no, so that motion passes 7-3. So
So, Madam Chair, resolved that, excuse me, Richard Fredette, being is hereby appointed a regular member of the Arts Commission. His term expired March 10th, reappointment.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Harden. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All, well, let me just see if it's not unanimous, okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I have a point of information.
Wait, no, we're in the middle of a vote, Mitzi. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, I didn't say aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion passes 10-0.
All right, I'm just going to ask the question then.
Yes, Ms.
I thought
Santessa.
as a town employee, he couldn't be in that position.
Mr. Florek?
As a member of the Arts Commission, you mean?
Yep.
He can't be in the, he can't be on zoning.
Well, I know. We'd have to look at the Arts Commission ordinance and make that determination.
I don't believe there's a conflict with the Arts Commission, but there was a conflict with BZA.
And that conflict with BZA was, I think, because he was reporting directly to Jay Hibansky. I think that was the genesis of the conflict for ZBA.
It'd be better that if we go have the motion reconsidered and then table this until you find out.
Well, we
Okay,
can-
I'd like to have my vote reconsidered. Is there a second to have my vote reconsidered?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of reconsidering, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, no? Okay.
Opposed.
Then it stays, okay? He stays appointed, fine. Okay. Now we are at the budget. I'm sorry, let me find it.
If we're going to go to the budget, can we take like a 5-minute recess?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, 5-minute recess, please. No, he's right there. I'm looking at him, talking to John Bergeson. We are at, if the mayor's going to join us. We are at item 8.1. Before we go to 8.1, is there a motion to suspend the rules to not refer the ordinance, to not refer this to ordinance, and to waive the second reading?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes, do we have 10 here? 10 to 0. Okay. There's the ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2017, and ending June 30th, 2018, and appropriating the sum of $219,482,535 in accordance therewith. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Chase. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Harden. Okay, discussion. Okay, all in favor, say, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Mr. Farrington Posner?
No.
Mr. Kadim?
No.
Mr. Harden? Yes. Mr. Can?
No.
Mr. Young?
No.
Ms. Antezo? Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Llewellyn?
Yes.
Ms. Manis? No. Ms. Antezo?
No.
Antezo votes no, chair votes yes. The motion fails with a 6-4 vote. Okay? Okay. Is there any other motion to be made regarding regarding the budget?
Okay. Motion to introduce a budget for 2018.
Okay, Mr. Can?
I'm not sure how much of this we need to read. This will change. It's an ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the town of Stratford for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2017, ending June 18th.
Can you inform us what you are reading?
I'm reading the document. Starts with this.
5.2.2 Ordinance Committee. The Ordinance Committee conducted a special meeting May 8th, 2017, at which time the following was referred to Town Council.
Thank you, Wally.
No problem.
I'm sorry, could that be repeated? Talking into your microphone?
The number is, what, 216344? Because there are a few different ones floating around here.
216-344-301.
Okay. Does everybody have a copy of that?
Oh, okay.
John, did you get a copy?
Do all council persons have copies? Is anybody in need of one? Okay. And Mayor, you have one? And Carol, you have one? Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Can.
That was, we just repeated the amount of $216,344,301. That would be a mill rate of 38.99 for both property and motor vehicle.
I'm sorry, we're just talking about the budget now, right?
Very good. The budget is attached.
So the motion, was there a second to your motion?
Second.
Okay, so made by Mr. Can, seconded by Mr. Farrington Posner. Discussion?
I have a request, please. I can't hear unless you're speaking directly into the microphone. Did you make the full resolution to adopt the figure that you said? I heard the figure.
At the top of the page, right, Brother Tom?
Yes, Mitzi, I'll read the top paragraph again. So this is item 5.
You don't need to, I will, because it's,
But the resolution's
it's already been, the motion's been made and seconded.
Okay.
It was the motion to approve the budget that sums to $216,344,301.
Are we in discussion?
Okay, now we're into discussion. Ms. Manis?
I wanted to open discussion, and I know I won't be able to talk again, so I'm just going to share. I'm somewhat disappointed that this is presented. I'm happy that we have something. I'm disappointed that it's presented independently, and we had to vote down the mayor's amendment, his proposal. My objective was to build upon what you began. So that Mayor Harkins put forward his amendment, and that ours would build, and people could build on top of that. That's just me. So I understand why this is coming forward like this. I just want to share that what you see in these pages behind here follow, this wasn't birthed out by a group of people in isolation. It does include what the mayor had put forward in his new ideas. And he did work very hard on that. So I want to make sure that that's in the record, and that this just does, it goes another step further, and it shows collaboration. I wish we could have amended what he had already had rather than vote it down. I'm not sure why that didn't happen. Thanks.
Ms. Manis, I don't remember hearing any amendments offered.
There wasn't. There
Okay.
wasn't.
I just want to be sure I didn't.
This is being put forward separately, and I was under the impression that it would be in the form of an amendment to what he had already offered. That's all. It's just me.
This is an amendment, I believe, to the mayor's new budget that he put out, that we just,
The new
that just
budget had failed in the
and this is an amendment to it, isn't it?
His was, no, his was amended also. This is an amended budget,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to,
Madam Chair, I still have the floor. Haha, see, Mr. Chase, I'm learning. This budget that we got, sorry, I do a lot of work in my spare time. This budget that we got, the mayor put his budget on top of it, his proposed amendment, and said, here, I amended this for you guys. Our budget amendment that we put forward should go there. And then if you have something, or if David has something, or if Bill has something else to add to his own stuff, it should go on top. I'm just saying that's the way I assumed it would go. We voted it down as a group. What happens now, I want to be clear that this includes everything that he put into his proposal.
That's the
And that
point, through the
it
chair,
wasn't-
that's the
it-
point I was making.
Right.
Is that this budget that
I yield the floor.
Mr. Can just read into record is an amendment to the mayor's
Right.
proposed budget.
I'm sorry, Scott, Mr. Farrington Posner, I
Okay.
have to disagree. Because it looks like the ordinance being put forward is for $216,344,301, right? I mean, $216,344,301. So
Madam
this looks
Chairman.
like an independent number,
Okay.
okay? That's not amending.
So,
Yeah.
Madam
which is
Chairman.
fine. It can go that way too. It's not,
Okay, Mr. Florek.
yeah. I think the confusion is over the word amendment, and if you'll notice, the mayor's budget was an amendment, and so is this. I mean, we could assume that we would amend this budget, but it could stand alone as its own.
Mr. Florek?
They're all amendments from the time the mayor first proposed the original budget.
Amended.
Everything else has been an amendment to that original budget, including the mayor's amendment tonight. So technically, this is an amendment to that original budget that was proposed by the mayor on March 12th.
Which encompasses his ideas.
So can I ask, this is just a question for, I think, it sounds like for Ms. Manis, or actually for Mr. Farrington Posner, the numbers presented here in this, I mean, I'm not seeing line items except for the EMS, WPCA, and Short Beach, so I'm not quite sure how to interpret the rest of this.
Madam Chair, I did not work on this budget.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Mr. Can? So just for example, just so I'm...
No, I don't, I
Clear.
understood the question clearly. So in an effort to answer, we received the mayor's budget Monday morning through an email sent to us by Carol Cabral. That was at 11:19 a.m. At 11:31 a.m., I sent a message to all 10 counselors, John Florek, the attorney, Chris Timiak, Jay Wahlberg, and Mayor Harkins. And I asked another one of my serial questions. Please inform the mayor that his document lists no amendments and no account detail, and therefore is in the incorrect format per town attorney specifications. 2 hours later, Tina Manis forwarded another email to the same audience, again including Attorney Florek and Mayor Harkins. And she said, well, we heard from Attorney Florek on May 4th that in order to alleviate confusion, this is an email he sent on May 4th, in order to alleviate confusion, I would follow the same format the mayor used in the presentation of his budget. Therefore, given that the mayor's budget, as delivered to the town council, contained no line items, given that we inquired to the mayor and his staff why there were no line items, and given, unfortunately, that there was no response from the mayor or his staff or Attorney Florek, we proceeded based on the second message from Tina that said, we need to follow the mayor's format. We don't like the fact that formats keep shifting. You know, it's rather suspicious why we just can't have one way of doing business. But we did the format that the mayor presented that was shared with everyone at 1 a.m. on Friday morning by Mr. Young. On Friday, again, no written response. So I guess to your point, Chairperson, we did exactly as we were instructed by the town attorney, and we inquired of the town attorney and the mayor's office. This is what we got. This is how we're going to proceed. This is the rules upon which we need to base our amendment.
Okay, first, are you finished?
Thank you.
Completed? Mr. Mayor and then Mr. Florek. I don't know who wants to go first here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you know the story, Councilman Khan, but I'd like Mr. Timiak to come forward and explain the chain of events. Perhaps that'll help explain what happened.
So I spoke to you on Friday about the specifics regarding what occurred with the mayor's specific changes. The budget was presented to the council clerk. I believe it was presented on Friday. On Monday, I handed the council clerk the specific changes. On Tuesday, I followed up with an email, which you have received. And I'm standing here, I worked it out with Carol. You guys, everybody on the council received that email on Friday from Carol. You accused us of playing games.
Yes.
And I assured you it wasn't the case. There was an honest clerical mistake.
Was there no...
Mr. Timiak has the floor.
Thank you, Chair.
There was an honest clerical mistake which happened. I informed you at the time that this budget needed the specific changes. It is simply not fair to the department heads to have blanket numbers. I want to say you went as far as acknowledging that and
No,
leaving
sir.
and leaving it up to our discretion on how to proceed with making those cuts based upon our conversation.
Why did you
I'm
choose
sorry,
not
Mr.
to...
Mr. Timiak had the floor, and then it was Mayor, and then Mr. Florek. Okay, are you done?
No, it was my understanding this was delivered to the council clerk on Monday. Is that correct, the last week?
It was.
So your clerk, who works for you, received the account numbers on my proposed budget on Monday. If you didn't receive it on Friday, that's a conversation you need to have with your clerk here in the
What
council.
difference does it make?
Okay.
So council clerk had it on Monday of last week.
I don't have them.
But they weren't sent till Friday.
So
Okay. that's-
I have a question.
Okay,
I have
actually,
a-
it's Mr.
I have a
Florek.
question.
Are you-
Are we
are you
still
done?
talking about
Okay,
line
now it's-
item numbers?
Yes.
yeah. So
Well, I don't understand. The mayor's budget has no line item numbers. We copied the same plan.
it does.
What's-
It did.
Once again, is a game.
It's not. It's not. This
Game,
was an
baby.
honest.
No, it was a game.
Okay. And this is what I talked to you about on Friday. And
Yeah,
not having
Friday
this-
afternoon,
That, though, it was a
you called me, and you
Mr.
said,
Actually, then it was Mr. Floric.
only that he addressed the question to me. Should I wait?
Yeah, I don't know what Mr. Floric wanted to say.
Well, here's what I wanted to
now.
say.
unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
I-
Call the
I
question.
move
My-
the,
Mr. Floric has the floor.
this is a bunch of,
My advice to the council was that you follow the same format that the mayor followed. Now, in the packet I received, I don't know when I got it or where I got it, but the packet I received has a sheet which has specific line items and proposed cuts, and in some cases, proposed adds. I don't know what you received. I received that. I will say too, Greg, that you read part of my response, but not all of it. The total response was, in order to alleviate confusion, I would follow the same format that the mayor used in the presentation of his budget. Thus, I would use the department code, the specific line item number, and even the text identifier for that item.
Through the chair?
No, Mr. Floric's speaking.
That was the
sheet
totality
a week later.
of the email. My concern with what you have here is that you are going to cause a tremendous amount of confusion to this council, because I don't think anybody can tell what they're voting on from what was presented, to the administration, because I don't think the administration knows how to effectuate the budget you're doing, and to the public at large, who has no idea of where the specific cuts are coming from. Additionally, I have a problem with the concept from the legal standpoint of an aggregate department number, because I think you may well be delegating authority to non-elected officials to make decisions that is invested in you.
That's not,
I'm sorry, Mr. Floric is speaking.
I'm going to give you for an example. Now, in the mayor's budget, and I'm going to use the town attorney's office because I'm familiar with that, the mayor tells us that he's proposing a $72,936 cut from line item 6003, payroll regular. Know exactly where that's coming from. In this budget, I have, from the town attorney's standpoint, I have a reduction of, it looks like, $179,240. No idea where you're taking that from. Are you taking it from the liability line? Are you taking it from the payroll line? Are you taking it from the court cost line? Are you taking it from outside attorneys? No clue. I think that you're just going to cause a lot of confusion doing this. And my suggestion is that you can certainly present that budget, but you need to go back and identify the line items that are being changed. And I think I'd be mindful of the fact that the charter says that the mayor will make itemized appropriations in the budget, and that your budget is supposed to mirror his or work off of his. You need those itemized appropriations.
Madam Chairman.
Are you done?
Yes.
Madam Chairman.
Okay, yes, Ms. Antozo.
Just two comments. One, the $72,000 taken from the town attorney's office, of which on this sheet, there's a line item, but not on this sheet, okay? This is the budget we received, and this was the budget you told us that we could copy. And I'm going to tell you something about the $72,000. That was a clerical error. They put payroll, and then they put the same thing under it and added them together. So the $72,000 wasn't supposed to be there to begin with, but that's irrelevant. On this is, which we were sent. It says town attorney, and it goes across the board and tells you what was budgeted, what was proposed, and it's just a group number. All of these are group numbers. The mayor sent that to us. I hate to say this, but you know something? When I showed this to somebody, they said to me, "You got to watch out, this may be a trap."
Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Flora,
Thoroughly
actually, we're
discussed.
getting the legal advice. Mr. Flora,
The crux of the issue appears to be that,
This was an add-on sheet that we were sent by Timniak.
but apparently,
That's
what you're
incorrect.
saying is you never received another sheet included in the package which has specific line items connected to each and every one of the adjustments. I got it. I can't remember when I got it or who I got it from,
I don't
but
know.
I got it.
Madam Chair.
Madam
Mr.
Chair, I've been
Clark,
raising
are you
my
done?
hand 3 times.
Yeah.
are you done? Okay,
Madam Chair.
Mr. Farrington Posner.
Wow.
Well, there are other people too.
But my hand was up way before that.
Mr. Farrington,
You carry that with you all the time.
Mr. Farrington Posner.
All right, I have the floor. Thank you.
Yes, you do.
Madam Chair, what I received today was the mayor's budget with no line items, no org numbers. It's right here. This is what was here today for me when I got in. This is the budget that obviously some council members worked off of. Under the thought from Mr. Florik's email that they needed to do exactly as the mayor did. So that's the point we're at right now. So it seems like, to me, this is almost like a game not to pass a certain budget. So what I'm going to propose right now,
We have a motion on the
what was that? No. This is what I'm going to propose right now. We're not going to get anywhere tonight. This is going to be a waste of time because we're going to play back and forth. I motion that we table this until we have a special meeting. And it's been put on record right now that we need to have line items and we need to have org numbers and all that. So you know what? Let's just do that.
We don't need it. That's one town. Where's Mark Dumont?
There was a motion to table. Is there a second? Mr. Chase? Is there a second? I'm sorry. No. There's no second? Okay.
Well, then, if we're not going to table, let's get past all this
let's
nonsense and
move to
move
vote.
forward.
Call the question.
No. We're not done with discussion yet, and I'd like to offer an amendment to this budget.
There was a call to,
Well, no, I would like to offer an amendment to this
Go ahead.
budget.
Then offer your amendment.
Thank you. Since we're doing it by departments, according to the mayor's budget right here, I'm going to do my amendment by department as well. So, is this funny?
No, this is...
Is this funny?
This is not funny. I'm not laughing. It's a frustration because there was a clerical error. The specific changes were sent to the town clerk.
Don't point to Carol. You guys got 2 emails saying that we didn't have the detail. Your office is,
I sent it to the clerk. to
but you
distribute
knew
to the
that we
council
didn't
members.
get it.
Okay, I'm about to offer my amendment, Mr. Timniak. I don't think,
FOIA, the email that Carol...
Mr. Timniak, I have the floor right now, and I
I'm
haven't
sorry.
yielded it to anybody.
Mr. Farrington Posner has the floor.
Thank you. So in the budget amendment in front of us, in the office of the mayor, the current cut is $42,016.
Point of order, Madam Chairman. I don't have a copy of his amendment. I'd like to see it, please.
I'm sorry?
He's verbalizing it?
I could verbalize it just like it's been done before in past meetings,
Question to the town attorney.
and it's been done, and I can pull out the tapes if you'd like.
I've been recognized. Question to the town attorney, can he do this?
Well, I don't see anything illegal about him verbalizing it. The problem, again, is confusion. If you don't have something in front of you that everybody's looking at, you run the risk of people making errors, being confused, et cetera.
According to our rules, any member can ask for an amendment or a motion in writing, if they so choose.
Okay, and right now I'm going to verbalize it as we've done in the past, and we have voted on it in the past. Verbal.
What do the rules say, Mr. Town Attorney?
On what day?
Well, we'll have to find that.
Yes.
Later in the day.
Scott.
It was beginning of last week.
Fucking grandstand.
It says, and we're talking about section 10 of your council rules. Any motion shall be reduced to writing at the request of the presiding officer or of any council member.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Mr. Town Attorney. You know, it's funny, earlier, Mr. Posner indicated that he wasn't going to bring out his amendment because the votes weren't there. So now we're going to do this verbally. It
Okay,
just
I
sounds
still
like
had
a
the
great-
floor.
Sounds like a grandstand
Yeah,
motion.
Mr.
I yield.
Okay,
floor
I
to
still had
you.
the floor, and earlier what I did say was I was not going to put forward my budget amendment, which you all saw. It went out publicly and it went out to the press, and I have not put that forward. What I did say earlier, when you thought I was grandstanding, was that I was going to put forward some additional cuts. And that's exactly what I said earlier. And I said that I was going to take that money and give it to the Board of Education. So, again,
Mr. Farrington
What was that?
Proctor has the floor.
So again, Office of the Mayor, in the current amendment in front of us, the cut to the Office of the Mayor, that department is $42,016. I'm proposing adding an additional $33,800.
So what does that make it? 75,816?
75,816, yes. Office of the Registrar of Voters, the current cut in the amendment in front of us is $45,393. I'm proposing to add an additional $75,442. Economic Development, the current cut is $29,309. I am proposing an additional $106,741.
Scott, can you repeat that number, please?
Sure. The current reduction is at $29,309. I propose an additional $106,741. And lastly, the Planning and Zoning Office, and this is for outside services and education. I'm proposing $76,000 in reduction. That total for those additional reductions is $291,983. The current Board of Ed number is $2,229,000, in this proposed amendment is $2,229,812. I'd like to allocate the cuts from the municipal side to the Board of Ed, bringing the Board of Ed to a total of $2,521,795. I've also had some correspondence with the Board of Ed Chairman, Mr. Fian, and he has assured me that the Board of Ed would cover all their contractual obligations and would not have any issues with $2.5 million. This would bring it to $2.521795.
Through you, Madam Chairman, a question.
I'm sorry?
Through you, a question
Yes.
to the proponent?
Mr.
Oh, can you give me the percentage-wise what the increase would be?
No, just a question.
I don't have the percentage with me right now of what that increase would be, I'm sorry.
I can wait.
Madam Chair,
You can
was
wait.
there...
Mr. Wahlberg. Can I call it Mr. Wahlberg?
We're not supposed to have back and forth.
I lost track of some of your cuts.
Okay, sure.
Some of your
What
things.
did you lose track of?
I think I was adding two numbers. 106,741.
106,741,
What was that for?
Registrar, Economic Development, I'm sorry. That's in addition to the 29,309.
So you'd be reducing that by 136,050.
Yes.
Okay, and then what was after that? I'm sorry.
The Planning and Zoning Office, and it would be a reduction of 76,000, which is taken from education and outside service.
I'm sorry, where is the Planning and Zoning Office? Where is that on the sheet? Scott? Where is P and Z on this sheet?
I'm sorry?
Where's the P and Z office?
I'm adding it.
I'm sorry?
I'm adding it. It's not on there. I'm adding it as another department. As an amendment, I'm adding it.
So you're saying that this original budget introduced by Mr. Can had no planning and zoning at all in it?
No, and I'm adding the cut to it.
No cuts.
Right, no, I'm just not seeing the P and Z office on this.
It's not on there. I'm adding it as an additional cut.
Is this an amendment?
It's an amendment to
Wait,
the...
was it seconded?
No.
Not yet.
No, it hasn't not been seconded.
It's an amendment to the current amended budget in front of us that we're reviewing.
Okay, I'm sorry, so the P and Z was what?
Was a reduction of 76,000.
Even?
Yes.
Okay, and then what was after that?
And that was it. The total reductions that I have here are 291,983.
So my question, Madam Chairman, was, can you give us what the
291 I'm sorry,
percentage is?
I can't.
291,093, and then
291,983.
983.
Point of
Nine.
clarification.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the 291,
983.
983, and you would be adding that to the 2234 already there?
I would be adding that to the 22298112, which is the number that is on here for the Board of Ed allocation.
No, I'm sorry. So the total reductions, the total reductions would be 2,234,268 plus 291,983?
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time?
It would be this bottom number, 2,234,268 plus 291,983. I'm just trying to keep it in the same format as what they
Point
have.
of information.
It's
I think that's right.
It's taking $291,983 and moving that out of the expense here and moving it to the Board of Ed allocation.
Madam Chair.
Point of information.
So the BOE adjustment becomes negative 1207051 plus
Point of
291.
No, the Board of Ed allocation here is 2 million, I'm sorry, is an additional 2,229,812. With adding the 291,983 that I've taken from the municipal side of the budget, it would bring the allocation to the Board of Ed to a total of 2,521,795.
Madam Chairman, point information.
Okay, Ms. Antezo,
If this were an amendment, which I'm assuming he's amending or amended thing.
yes.
There was no second.
Well,
So
I'm-
what is
Mitzi, can we
the-
just finish, can I finish putting it forward first before then somebody can second it then if they want to? Just let me
He's
please,
trying to make his motion.
I'm trying to make my motion.
There's a point of information was asked, and I have the answer regarding the percentage for Mr. Chase. The percentage offered by John Harkins in his original budget was 2.35. It was an increase to the Board of Education by $2,509,680 to a total of $109,304,682. Mr. Farrington Posner's amendment is adding, will make that amount $2,521,795, which is approximately, give or take, about $19,000 more than what the mayor originally proposed.
But the latest proposal was 2.75%.
So it's approximately 2.35.
But the-
It goes back to the mayor's original proposal.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the
That's
question.
2.35%, and it works out to 2,521,000, which is the number that will be acceptable by the Board of Ed and I have been told this also by the Board of Ed chairman, that they can work with that number. We wouldn't have any issues with
Is this part of your
cuts.
motion, though?
This,
If you want to.
yeah, this is my
Okay.
motion.
Is there a second to, are you done with the motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second your motion.
Okay, there's a seconded by Ms. Manis. Discussion? I just have to say, I'm very concerned about this entire thing because there are, I'll just take it, a number out of thin air.
You call the question?
For example, there's 1.8 million, I think, no, 235,000 being taken out of employee benefits, 771,000 taken out of contingency, and 362,000 taken out of debt retirement. I just don't know. There are many ways, because these are aggregate numbers, there are many ways to arrive at those negative numbers.
No.
Point
So-
Point of
About the
info.
amendment.
We're talking about my amendment,
I
we're
know,
not talking
but
about
he's
the entire
amending-
Was there a
budget.
second?
Okay,
Yes.
Was there a second?
Yes.
there was
Who
a
made the second?
Okay, let's vote on
Okay.
the amendment. All in favor of the amendment offered by Mr. Farrington?
Roll call.
Posner?
Roll call.
Okay, roll call. Okay, Mr. Farrington Posner?
This keeps the mill rate at 38.99.
Yes or no? Aye or nay?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
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 Yes.
And chair votes no. I think that went very fast. I think it was 7-3.
Well, the registrars
failed.
are more important than education for the kids.
Could we move to the
That was-
question?
It went 6-4, it failed.
We have a motion on the floor.
Okay, so the motion failed. There is the.
No, the
crime-
original motion.
I'm sorry,
talking
the
about
original one, yep.
The original motion, we didn't take a vote on yet.
No, we haven't. Are there any other amendments to be offered to that
Mr.
before we take a vote on that?
Point of order?
We're back to this.
Mr. Young?
Point of order, Mr. Floric? With this not having itemized cuts, is it illegal then? Does it just create the confusion that you were talking about, that these things can be clarified then? Where does that stand, and what is your advice?
I'd be
This is
hard-pressed to say
opinion.
that it's clearly illegal.
Right.
It obviously causes confusion, may not square with the requirements of the charter that it be itemized appropriations. So on that basis, what is my recommendation? My recommendation is that this budget can be presented at some point in time, but you really need line item numbers and so that they can be specifically identified.
I have a follow-up question with Mr. Florek. So when I think about the charter does give the mayor veto power and also gives the mayor line item veto power.
That's
How
correct.
can line item veto power be used when the line items aren't specified?
That I don't know. I don't know that could happen.
Point of,
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Manis? Oh, no, Mr.
again, so I said at the beginning, the mayor streamlined things and made them more efficient, and now here we are where things are lost in the mire again. I'm really disappointed because I thought you followed Erin Stewart, and she did a great job. She's New Britain's mayor, and she's a Republican, and she did a fabulous job fixing her budget up there, and they have an impeccable financial system that they do. They sat at the Connecticut municipalities. They shared a lot of their information with us. I really thought you were using a best practice. I'm disappointed. Second part is, there's a problem in the charter, because if you're saying line item veto, interdepartmentally, we have to approve transfers, but intra-department, you can move things wherever you want, just like the BOE can. So they have this authority to kind of move things around, and that gives flexibility and power to the department head, which they rightfully should have, because they're dealing with human systems and they're dealing with their departments. It also gives the mayor latitude. It lets him be the boss. We said we want to go back, to a town manager because things were more organized. Should we hire a town manager? We have a mayor with a finance degree from Tulsa. Like, come on. Like, we have somebody who can do this work. We can stop being political, and we can let you do your job, and you can do it. And I was really sure that you did it this time, and the politics were out of it, and the politics just aren't, and they're creeping back into amendments and into arguments. And people asked us today to get the Ds and Rs off our heads and to really work for the people. And I'm sorry, this whole 11th hour, then the line items appeared and they were in Carol's mailbox, now we gotta do an FOIA. All of that stuff doesn't sit well with the public. They say, you're a bunch of liars. People are like, you're lying. It's not gonna pass the smell test. It's just not. So let's just stop it, not worry about, it's illegal, it's not illegal. We need to vote on this. We put something forward. I'm ready to vote on this. We need to just do it. And you know why? Because the people deserve something. They deserve some kind of clarity. And if people are lying to them and people want to keep playing games with them, then that's on the people in charge here. And I hope that they knock down the doors, because I would. And people in North End who are very quiet people are very, very angry. When people are at church yelling about this, there's a problem.
Madam Chairman.
Mr. Kadim?
Madam Chairman.
Mr. Kadim?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quickly, the fact that y'all still playing games with this line item, listen, if it's a percentage to the department, excuse me, if there's a percentage cut to the department, they can allocate where the money go. So we don't have to do a line item. This is a game y'all playing. So I'm ready to call the question. Let's get it.
Second.
Okay, there was a motion to call the question and a second. All in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, that motion passes 6-4. Okay, now I'm calling the question.
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Mr. Farrington Posner?
Pass.
Mr. Kadim?
Yes.
Pass.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
It would have been nice if you allowed the minority a chance to address Mr. Can's budget, but I guess my responses are going to be no.
No.
Yes.
The chair votes no.
Hardin votes no.
Mr. Hardin votes no, and there was one other person who passed. Scott?
Reluctantly, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Farrington Posner votes yes. The budget passes 6-4.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All opposed? Any ink in your pen?